Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Elaboration of Philosophy. Today, my guest is an old but still very good friend of mine, Dom Musto. How you doing today?
What's up, guys?
Yo, it's so crazy that we're just here and we talked about, I guess, a few things before, and we're gonna get into them. But the first question for you, as it is the same for everyone else, is what is your philosophy? And what experiences have led you to the latest shift in your philosophy on life?
So, what I would say is my way of thinking and my mindset really changed was through quarantine. So, I would say somewhat I hit rock bottom. And I was just so upset with the world, so upset with myself, because everything I felt was taken away from me that I loved, which was the gym, which was work, which was being able to go out. So when I noticed everything was taken away, I just wasn't myself. And as time went on, you obviously have so much time to think and time to reflect. And then I feel like just recently I started kind of being more enlightened and more like passionate and understanding of what I'm doing. So I would say 3 things that I recommend to anyone is developing a good morning routine, and getting used to being uncomfortable is another thing, and MEDS, which is an acronym, MEDS, which stands for meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep.
Meditation, exercise, diet, sleep. Wow, I'd never ever thought of that. Yeah. Honestly, ever in my life. That's actually a really good acronym.
Though I feel like those 4 things are just necessary for anyone to be happy. Like, those things you need to be able to go through the motions and be able to, like, keep putting one foot in front of another.
Yeah, instead of, like, crisscrossing and moving back one forward, one back. Yeah, I got you. I guess developing a good morning routine. Yeah. I feel that. Sometimes I wake up and I'm doing really well and I have a solid flow in the morning. But then sometimes I wake up at 10:15. I'm like, fuck, it's going to be noon in 2 hours.
Yeah. I get that 100%.
I guess for you, I'm curious as to your morning routine, specifically how often you feel you're able to get into the flow of it, and I guess, say for example, you have a day where you don't go through the full morning routine. Yeah. How are you able to almost like
get back on track?
Exactly.
So the thing is, I recently just got into my routine. And so my routine is I try to wake up early, around maybe 6 or 8 a.m. in the morning.
Anywhere in that time.
Yeah, so, I just try to wake up early because I'm a morning person. I need to wake up early. If I wake up, like, at 12, the whole day's done.
The day is gone, yeah.
I feel horrible. So I wake up early, I go downstairs, I drink water, and then I go do cardio. I have a treadmill in my basement, so I feel like that's the biggest mental, like, meditation, health, whatnot. Like, that's the best thing I ever did was get a treadmill in my basement.
Yeah.
So every, like, Monday through Saturday, I wake up and I just go
on the treadmill.
Walk. Yeah, I wear a hoodie, I get my headphones in, I zone out, I think about things. So I would say that's where I meditate and, like, quote-unquote meditate, where I think to myself, and that's where I, like, health, exercise.
Yeah. Meditate. It seemed like you're getting a 2-for-1.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
I feel like for me, and I guess I get this feeling when I'm tripping or when I'm high and I'll talk, like, walking definitely makes it feel like movement in general makes things feel a lot better. I feel like if I'm very still and almost like set in stone in terms of my position, the energy that's inside of me will just go crazy and ramp up, and then sometimes it will result in really feeling it throughout my body, but then if I'm too head focused, it will all go to my head and I'll just get really anxious.
That's another thing. To help, because through quarantine I stopped working out because I was just fed up. I wasn't doing at-home workouts. I kick myself in the ass for that, but bottom line is I just stopped. So I was
Yeah.
I was at such a point, I was in such good shape, and then I just stopped. So I became so anxious all the time. I never had anxiety throughout the day, because exercise for me, that's getting rid of anxiety, getting rid of depression, all that. So like, this is my way of starting, like, okay, if I do my cardio, I'm not anxious throughout the day. I need to get that done. I need to wake up and do that.
Yeah.
And then it just sets me up for the rest of the day. And then I sound like a psychopath. I eat the same breakfast and then go to the gym right after every day.
Yeah, it's
except
what
Sunday.
works, like, it's what works. I feel you. And,
I feel like anyone can benefit from a good morning routine.
Yeah, I feel you. I think, for me, like, in terms of my optimal morning routine, which is something that I definitely don't get done as much as I'd like to, but getting up and first feeling well rested. From
that's
there,
important.
like the sleep, because it's a cycle. You can, if you can meditate, exercise, and eat very well, but if you don't get as much sleep, it affects the next day, and then it's a cycle, and then you throw it off, and then it gets, for lack of better terms, fuck shit up when you don't want shit to get fucked up.
Yeah, of
and
course.
Like, for me, the ideal morning routine, getting up feeling fresh, drinking water, and then just getting my brain stimulated in any way I can, whether it's reading, with the drinking coffee, but also reading or doing a little bit of schoolwork or a little bit of work in the morning. The only schoolwork that I'll do early in the morning is stuff for math, because I'm a math major.
Of course.
Love math, always have, love numbers, ever since I can fucking remember thinking about things in general. And I think it's important to find the little shit that you love to do, like the little stupid shit, like shit that you wouldn't even think is like, oh, like, it's whatever, like, do the little shit that you love to do if you can in the morning, like, because like, the whole day is made up of all of the little, infinitely many moments throughout that day,
the small decisions you make.
Exactly. Like, I feel like it's important to kind of do things out of love and, like, I guess really care for yourself too. It's weird. Like, you really gotta focus on yourself, and it's selfish almost to say that.
Yeah,
but
of course. I would agree with that.
I think that we've developed a negative stigma or connotation to selfishness in society. I think that everything kind of has a balance.
Yeah.
But I feel that the spectrum of selfishness, meaning one end fully selfish or the other end being fully selfless, they're the same thing, I really feel. I think that a lot of people say they do things out of selflessness, which is true, but are you doing things selflessly or selfishly?
So what I think is, basically, you need to look out for yourself first, because if you're not good, you can't really give love, give time, or give advice to other people. So, for instance, when anyone is depressed or anxious, it's hard for them to give advice to others. So, like, it's important to be selfish. You need to figure out yourself. You need to figure out your needs first.
Yeah.
Before you could help others.
Yeah, it's like, you can't be selfless without being selfish in that sense.
Exactly.
Like, you can't
100%.
like I've said it so many times, like, the opposite, like, they're opposites and they need each other in order for them to exist. It's like good and bad, or perceived right and wrong, or perceived, like, whatever the opposite ends of the spectrum are, they really are just expressions of the same thing. And, like, I feel like even with the self, as big as it is to having a conversation and talking to many people or one person, or even having, like, the self-talk is so important in terms of, like, I find it very hard to respect myself for all of the things that I balance, because at the center of it all in my experience is me. The same way you're at the center of it all for your experience, and I feel like especially in the education system, we were conditioned to not feel powerful, which in turn, combined with telling people that sharing their feelings is not something that makes them strong. It makes them more on the weaker end of things if they have problems.
Yeah,
and
yes.
The combination of having that sense of not being powerful being taught due to grading every single individual on the same scale, even though you can't do that, really.
So with that, I would say is what you're getting across is don't be so hard on yourself. Like, first, everyone goes through stuff. I wrote this down. Your perception is what you define the way you see the world. So your perception on yourself is different than my perception on you. Yeah. For instance, look, I see you starting a podcast. I'm like, yo, I support that 100%. But you could think of it like, oh, man, I'm nervous. Should I start this? Are people going to judge me? Exactly. And I learned, like, you can't worry about what other people think. Word. You know, it like, at the end of the day, the good people will support you. And if someone doesn't, whatever. Like, who cares? Yeah, I feel like the one thing that I was mainly worried about a little bit before officially, like, starting and mainly putting this shit on Facebook, because that's where most of my elder relatives are in my family. And, like, I openly talk about my experiences. Yeah, they know I smoke weed. They know, like, we smoke. But the one thing I was a little bit more weary about was talking about mushrooms openly and them having any opinion to where... Judgment. Like, yeah, and it was just like, I was worried that they would hear that and be extremely worried and would have something to say, and I know that they would. I know my family. Like, certain people will listen and be like, oh, why are you doing this, that, the third? And it's like I said to you before we started recording, like, it's not my job, responsibility, or obligation to make sure that certain people don't worry. And, like, that's what I realized right after I told my mom what my thoughts were on the situation. Yeah. Granted, she was on her way to the hospital since there was something wrong with Pops, my step-grandpa, their grandpa. He's coming home tomorrow. He's much better, but just, like, there was so much that she was dealing with, and I just told her at the wrong time, and then she was not happy about it 100%. So then I got anxious off of it, and me and my mom, when we're both home, we're very similarly aligned. If she's anxious, I tend to get anxious if I see it, and then vice versa. And then that's why I kind of try and bring everything back to more of like a relaxed, like, there isn't that big of a deal. And what I realized was that I posted. If they listen and care, I tell them, and, like, that's just what it is. Like, yeah, so I would think it's two things. It's the generation gap is one thing. Yeah. Like, my parents are, I think, 2 generations away from me. They don't understand everything. It's just the way of life is different. And the thing with mushrooms, that's one thing I can't, what's the word? I can't relate. I never did that. I don't have any intentions to, but, like, I don't think of you any less because of it. It's everyone's individual life. They need to do what they need to do. Yeah. I learned to objectively think about people's decisions and what situations with certain things. Obviously, you're not harming anyone by doing them. It's your life. Exactly. It doesn't affect anyone but you. Okay. So for instance, how could I hate on you for making that decision? Or I can't. Yeah, like, you know? For me, I understand their worry because of the lack of education that they have on it due to the heavy stigmas that have been tossed around regarding mushrooms, weed, psychedelics in general, really. And for me, it's been at the end of the day, like, mushrooms have been a great teacher in terms of me kind of going into them, like,
mushroom, like what people typically say, and it's true, like mushrooms are nice to beginners. And like, I'm at the point where I'm not in the realm of being a beginner anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I've probably done more mushrooms than I would say maybe 90% of the people alive. That's just what the world has come to, especially since everyone, really since the early 20th century, has followed what this country has done.
Yeah.
Weed's illegal, mushrooms are horrible, both Schedule 1 narcotic drugs are worse than fucking heroin. Like, it's dumb shit.
And would you say using mushrooms, because to be honest, I have no idea what they do. Yeah. I don't know. But would you say that led to a shift in mindset? That leads you to maybe think more sympathetic towards others, or even about yourself?
What mushrooms, like there are a few different things that mushrooms have taught me in like terms of major lessons that are all really just one big lesson. Like, first off, mushrooms and the experience that you have, and tripping in general, it's such a hard thing to put into words because it's really more of a feeling. Like, I guess the example I've been trying to give in terms of the feeling that's tangible and what I perceive, when I walk around the neighborhood, when I'm sober, I feel more of the houses and the cars and the wires and the towers around me.
You feel your setting.
I feel that part of the setting more.
Okay.
When I smoke and walk around, I feel all of it. Like I see the cars, I see.
You feel quote unquote energy.
Yes, and you always feel the energy because the energy is always there. It's always doing what. Like I guess you just feel it more on mushrooms in the sense that like you really feel the presence that not only that you have, but also where you are, and like there's no thinking about a time that isn't right now, even more so.
So that's very interesting you say that. So I always had the issue with thinking about the future or thinking about the past. I never lived in the present moment. So what you're saying, what I'm getting from it is like mushrooms helps you live in the present moment.
Mushrooms has not only helped me live more presently, but I see the patterns and the links between different shit that I do in my life more so, and I guess with tripping, like in mushrooms, it's definitely environment heavy in terms of you have to be in the right environment, you have to be in the right mindset going into them because it's a trip. There are going to be ups and downs, there always are, but you always come out of it better. Like, my last trip was very recently. I was the half a guide / just also tripping, but also showing, like, almost going into the deeper ends of it in terms of what would be perceived negatively. I tripped with Fran, Kava, Paz, and Mike Frenzy.
Okay, yeah, good high school.
And the first half of the trip was very intense, like, physically. I really felt it all throughout my body.
Yeah.
And, like, I was at a point of I was confronted at the point of, like, being like, all right, I'm ready to let go of all things. But I felt, if I let go of all things, the possibility of me losing all control of bodily functions, meaning going to the bathroom in my pants, shit, piss, possibly vomit. Basically, what I didn't want to do is
have a bad experience.
And not even that, because the bad experiences are good experiences.
Yeah.
99 times out of 100, you're going somewhere. If you see someone on the floor shit, piss in their pants, and vomit coming out of their mouth, that looks like a very bad situation.
Yeah, because
and you don't want to deal with that.
I would. Yeah,
you would be worried.
This is a new world to me. I don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah, and
I never looked into mushrooms. I never looked into tripping. I don't smoke at all anymore.
Yeah.
I don't drink. It's not because I think I think they're bad. No,
that's
it's just
what's for you.
Yeah, it's what's for me. Yeah,
that's what works.
100%.
That's the formula, and that's the point. Like, for me, when I first started smoking, I was like very like, everyone needs to smoke weed. Yeah, I'm still like I always want people to experience it, but
Of course.
you're someone who has experienced it. You're someone
I have
who's like,
before, and it's not for me. You
And
know,
like-
I like living in reality. And you may take that one way, I take it another. And
exactly.
look, anyone can do what they want as long as it doesn't affect other people. Which you're doing, which I support.
Yeah,
You know, it's like who am I to say about anything?
Exactly.
Who is anyone to say?
Literally, and like for me,
It seems like you're learning from it, though. You've developed ways of thinking that has bettered you and your
I think
output.
Yeah, and I think everyone kind of can in terms of like, I feel like mushrooms are. It's almost like when you smoke weed.
Mm-hmm.
When you drink anything, when you drink coffee, you kind of feel the effects of the
It
drug
puts you out
in
of
that
reality
way.
in a little
Like,
bit, right?
Yes and no. Like it's just you perceive reality differently because it's just a perception alterer. There is no like, there's no concrete reality. Is what I've realized.
I've
like,
heard that before.
everyone experiences time differently. For example, if you're thinking about the past and the present and you're just on your phone and you're very anxious and also depressed and you're just chilling, like it's gonna feel like 8 o'clock at night to 12 o'clock at night went by in an hour. But if you're in the moment,
That's how I felt during quarantine. Like those what was it, 4 months?
Yeah.
They just flew. I don't remember them. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, like, and when you trip, like the time.
Do you feel like time goes slow or fast?
The time that we've used as a measurement and the way we measure time to our benefit.
Yeah.
Slow as slow could be.
So like a minute feels like an hour or like even longer.
And like they're like you'll have a conversation and you'll be like, oh shit, we've been talking for mad long. How's it been? And it's like, it's been 10 minutes. It's like, what? What do you mean it's been 10 minutes? And like, it's a crazy thing because that like the time shit and like I really have come to realize that us is like there's so much more to our existence than being human beings in that case. Like I feel like
I think it's important to be aware of that perspective, because a lot of people, I would say in older generations, especially my parents, it's like, okay, get a good job with benefits and medical and
make sure you're covered.
Yeah, but it's at the end of the day, it's a lot more than that. It's supporting others, understanding your mental health, on like physical health too.
Yeah.
Like I said again, meditation. At first when I heard people meditate, I was like, what do you mean meditate? Like go sit outside with your shirt off, like legs crossed, like crazy. But then I was like, no, everyone has different ways of meditation. It could be you sitting at your desk with your coffee in the morning. That's a form of, it could be walking outside. It could be doing cardio. It could be drawing, painting. It's different for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's whatever kind of puts you in the flow of like life. And one thing that David talks about a lot, which he learned from Alan Watts, he really talks about a lot of present shit, even though he died in 1970 and was an alcoholic and died at 50 because of alcohol. But he, granted, that was the vice. Part of him was drinking and then writing, or vice versa, or whatever it was. But the one thing that Alan Watts says, and that David references a lot, is like when you get the message, hang up the phone. If you're on a run, for example, or I guess not a run, because always pushing yourself ends up always feeling a little better if you don't collapse onto the floor. But like, say for example you're reading a book and you get to a point where you're feeling mad good, and if whatever you were reading stopped there, then you can just go on your day and be in that state of like flow. But Alan Watts says, once you feel that, hang up the fucking phone. Yeah. Stop what you're doing and just go do whatever you planned on doing, because the purpose for the meditation was to get into the flow. So now you're in the flow. Take that with you and go on your day instead of overextending your stay, if that makes sense, in the meditation.
I think that's good advice. From what I'm getting from that is, let's say you set 15 minutes aside every day to like think about yourself, reflect, think objectively about what you want. To go above those 15 minutes could be like too much.
Yeah, and even even say, for example, you have like 15 or 20 minutes set aside and you're like, you get locked in within 10 minutes. It's like, all right, now not only am I locked in, I have an extra 5 minutes. Let me go and just do something.
Yeah,
like, start the day that I planned on starting, and this was what kind of put me into that. And like, I think that going back to like the morning routine, like it's important to, just, I guess, establish things that you like to do.
I think it kind of, 100%. And it also grounds you. It's a way of grounding. I know grounding's like a technique to de-stress, like get rid of anxiety. Because I know people who suffer with anxiety, there's a technique called grounding where they just stop whatever they're doing and just like, I don't know how to do it exactly, but you like think of the world around you, you think of the ground, or like and just like take deep breaths.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not someone who suffers from like crazy anxiety.
Extreme anxiety.
Yeah, like I can go outside, I can go to a food store and not stress out. Some people can't do that.
Yeah, like the overall, I feel like the overall anxiety of the situation and the energy field in the air isn't as like powerful on you. You're just not worried as much.
Right,
almost,
yeah. But it's because I developed these my routine, my lifestyle. It's like I don't know if I would be anxious if I didn't work out, for instance. If I don't work out, I'm anxious all day.
Yeah.
I'm like fidgety. I'm unfocused. I literally feel like I can't function if I don't wake up and do my thing and work out.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I need to do. For some people, that's, like I said, it's different for everyone. And I feel like everyone needs to find those things that grounds them and makes them able to start their day.
Yeah, like, I guess for me,
it could be listening to a podcast.
Literally, like, it could be listening to a podcast. It can be, I guess, just as, like, recommendation's sake, what I try to do, I create lists and very, very, very loose schedules in terms of shit that I feel I need to get done.
And you write them down?
Write them down, but then I also try and make a list of shit that I just want to do. And then equally take those lists into account as things that are just as important. Because if you have a list of shit that you want to do, and then you realize that the shit that's on that list can be done daily if you manage the time correctly, then it's like, oh, I have 4 different things written down here that I love to do. I love to go for a jog for a mile, and then I like to read, and then I like to prepare.
Or get work done.
My coffee, and then I like to get a little work done. If you can get into that flow, and you love that flow, and it works, like, you do it.
And you feel good after.
And
you
then
feel
you
accomplished.
feel great, because, like, I feel that, like, going back to what you've said about energy, like, I feel really at the core, we're all made of it, we're all centers of being, we are all energy. That's why I said before, I feel there really is so much more to this experience than just being human, like, physically.
Yeah,
like, there's so much more to the being aspect of just experience, like,
and I think
shit's so crazy.
I think our energy has to do with our morals as well. Like, if someone's like a quote unquote good person, just being a good person, I think those people give off good energy.
Yeah.
Like when we went to high school, like our group of friends, like they were good. They were a good group of friends. You
Yeah.
know, I feel like no one had bad energy, or if someone did, you quickly noticed they left the group, or you know what I mean, or just like how people could feel others' energy.
Yeah, no, I feel
Loosely, you know, like, or you just get like quote unquote bad vibes.
Yeah, like
you know,
like first off, like in terms of like you, I really do feel that for me, you have been a big part of like not only my high school experience, but also the big self-development. Like
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Like I appreciate you on so many levels for it. There were points where like I was very much not okay with myself freshman year, and like freshman year, sophomore year was like, yo, come chill with my friends. And then
of course, man.
Your friends became my friends, and then I knew all of these people, and then I re-met all of these people, and like I tripped with Fran, Mike, and Joe.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen if you don't tell me to come chill at your crib.
Yo, when you think of it that way, I so pretty much every decision we've made leads up to the present moment. So it's crazy because in high school, I don't know what my mindset was like. I would love to be able to like talk to my younger self, because I was just so go with the flow, so happy go lucky, like. Yo, I'm having a party. Just everyone come.
Everyone come.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Or like I'm having people over. I don't care. It just didn't matter, and I feel like that was so good. It was. I was so like good-hearted in a way.
Yeah,
like, I just
always
never
were.
cared. You know, it just didn't matter. I had no problems.
Yeah, like I feel you. Like I've always. And, like, as we grew, and I guess as it got closer to senior year and eventually going to school, like, from your sake, like, yeah, like, it was, like, you were always, from my perception, but I also know others' perception, you were very, like, what you said, very going with the flow. You were just, like, in the chill flow, and you, like, it was good. Like, it was, not only was it good, I guess personally in the sense that you were in the flow, but you also hosted us a lot, which was nice. And then like for me, like I appreciate just you not only for that, but also for experiencing just in general, because there's someone because like there's always a center behind like experiencing, but like besides what we perceive, like
of course,
and, like I appreciate you not only for taking me in as a friend with no problem, but also just like always having that energy, because you always you've always been just really kind. I felt like you never really. I'm like, there are points that you'll feel like you've done wrong to people.
Of course,
points,
nobody's perfect.
Exactly.
I realize that there are things that I wish I didn't do, and then there's things like, oh, I wish I did do that, but it's in the past. I can't worry about it.
Exactly, because like you can't like. I feel like
I do. Sorry to cut you off. I do appreciate what you said. Thank you.
Of course, like thank you. Really, at the end of the day, and like. I just feel like people I feel like there's this, like view of trying to fix the past for a lot of people. And I feel that...
That's
at
interesting.
the end of, like, I feel like at the end of the day, you can't. Like, the
you
whole
need to
point...
just accept it, right?
Yeah, because, like, you can't fix something that's already fixed.
It's
Something
already,
in the past is literally fixed.
It's like
someone
already closed that door.
Yeah, like the door's been closed. Like, and it's the door. Like the door. The more you try to open it, like the more. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, it has to happen. Yeah, it just. I feel like unless you're like apologizing to a friend. That's different.
Like if you're. There's a difference between trying to go back into, like, events and trying to change decisions within events that kind of happened, as opposed to looking back on an experience to where you have done something wrong or done something that could have been perceived as wrong, and you know that it wasn't something, like, necessarily right to do. Like, for me, like, it's not... out of like for me, like, and I've done it, like I've told people that I'm sorry for shit that like is years past the experience, but it's just like I want you to know that this is how I feel and that it's something that I haven't forgotten, won't ever forget, and I just
to get
wanna,
off your chest. Yeah.
And not only to get it off my chest, but for me, like the whole thing about the podcast is being open and vulnerable and having conversations that not only I learn from you and you learn from me, but it is on. It gets published and other people can just learn from the conversation. Like
I like that because I feel like me personally, I learned from podcasts. A lot of stuff I learned recently is from podcasts. So I hope someone could just take something what we say and just use it. For instance, if someone's like, I wonder if a morning routine is beneficial, then they try it out. Like, and obviously you're there to ask for advice. Anyone can ask me for advice. Like
we're around.
It's back to what you also said about, taking the first steps to starting the podcast. Like, as soon as you said you were, I was like, I'm supporting that. Because I'm so strong in thinking that like we need to support our friends and their dreams. For instance, I know you're starting a podcast. I support that. Yeah. I know Hondo. He has a YouTube channel. I follow it. It's like it's everyone should just take the first step, follow their passion, and like people will support you.
Yeah, like people, and like for me, you're following your dreams.
Yeah.
You're going to support others that follow your dreams, because not only are you supporting your old friends and still current friends that you have experienced a lot of shit with, but that also helps you, and that helps you not only in the way of like, hey, you're supporting them and there's potential, there's unsaid support back, or there is said support back, but like at the end of the day, it's just you're putting out that good energy. You're putting out that love, and since you're putting out that love, that is gonna come back to you. 100%. Even if it takes 1,000,000 years, 5 years, 2 years, a year, 30 seconds from now, it will come back. That energy will come back to you just as you gave it out.
Yeah.
I feel.
So I agree with you 100%. I feel like it's healthy in a way to give. It's healthy to give advice. For you, let's say, I know this podcast is a lot about mindset. If you're able to help someone develop a more positive or a more conscientious mindset, that makes you feel good. Like, that's an accomplishment.
Selfishly, too. It's good.
Going back to what you said, yeah, but it is selfish, but it's also not, because you're helping others. Like you said, it's their opposites, but they're related.
Yeah, they need each other to exist. They are the same.
100%.
At the core, they are different expressions of the same thing, which is just self. And like, how can I use myself as a tool that is best for me, but also as a tool and a resource for others to use? Like,
100%.
For you, like, you're like, I've always felt that no matter how much time has passed, a year, 6 months, 2 years, like, the conversation picks up, it's smooth, and like for me, like, yeah, we went down the list of things like, oh, how's school, but
kind of the filler stuff.
Exactly, but after that, it's like, all right, how are you today?
Yeah, like, most of the time it picks up where you left off. That's what all my friends or anyone from high school. If you spend enough time, it usually just picks up where you left off.
Yeah,
and I feel like if people who don't experience that might be worried, like, oh, it's going to be awkward.
I think
Do you worry about that? Because like now you're hosting a podcast, you're like, oh, at first, like, oh, it might be awkward, and then it's like it's not at all.
For me, the podcast provides the platform of it being so not uncomfortable. Like it is comfortable because it's like, all right,
what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. Like, the worst that happens is like, people feel that they say something that they don't want to be heard. It's like, all right, if you really don't want this to be heard,
you could just cut it.
And then it's like, all right, like, cool, like that's the worst that can happen. But I know that for me, like, for the most part, like, I want to leave these uncut.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
interruptions
I think it's just
included, all of it.
natural.
And, like,
Because that's what you want. You don't want to BS people.
I just want to give people all of what I got, and, like,
Yeah.
nothing less, but also nothing more. Because something that Coach Steve always said, it, and, it really rings true, like, or it might have been it's one of the Campbells said it. One of them said it. But, like, it's like, you can't give more than 100%. You cannot give more than you can give. It's impossible. I can't give you $100 million when I don't have $100 million. I can't give you the things that I don't have. Like, I just can't. And I think it's important for people to realize that. Give all you can, but understand that you can give nothing more. And don't put so much on yourself. Yeah. Don't try and give more than 100% because it's literally impossible.
People beat themselves up over not, quote unquote, not being good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You can't worry about that.
But it's hard to, because I've been in the spot. It's very hard to not think about the spot when you're in it until you're out of it. Yeah. It's like, it's so easy. Just do. It's
don't stress.
Yeah, and like
easier said than done.
It's because I feel like we are all kind of back to like all being energy. Like, we all vibrate. The energy vibrates at a frequency, and like when you think about frequencies, that's radio, TV, cell phones, like. That's why I have a very love-hate relationship with all of these things, because they're all on a network connected to a tower, and those frequencies change the reality that we all perceive, I think is more
Do you feel that's
up
the
here.
Same with social media?
Yes,
how our reality's changed because of it, and like the way we think has changed because of it?
Yes and no, because I think that I don't think social media is as much of the problem as I thought it used to be.
Yeah. I feel like it's not. I mean, I don't know how, but then again, it goes back to perspective. That's you and me. We're not affected. I don't care if people look at a picture I posted and hate on it. Like, it doesn't affect me, but I know some people it does. I feel like we also grew up through social media.
Yeah,
from when a time it was so innocent.
Yeah, I remember.
I feel like I'm glad about that. Yeah. When it was innocent, we grew up during that period. It's not like that.
We
anymore.
grew up when it was like.
It was just fun.
It was fun, and like we grew up with like less of that sense of like really.
We weren't.
Like, it's weird. It's a weird way to describe it, because like. In general, I feel that social media, it has that balance. That
it has its good and bad.
It has its good and bad, and I think that don't take it as real life. It's a tool.
That's very important.
It's a tool to use to promote and share your life in that sense. But we're
both doing it. You're promoting your podcast.
Exactly.
I'm promoting what I'm promoting, which is basically like health, fitness, and I'm going to be doing personal training soon and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll get into that later, but I found what you're doing through social media. I saw you post about the recent changes you've made in your life, and I was like, yo, I like this. This is I took something from it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's your goal is for people to take stuff from
because
what you post.
Because for me, like. In general, like, no ideas that I've ever had are original. The English language is not something I've created. All the thoughts and words that have been created are not mine. I think what I've learned on mushrooms is that, like, thoughts and feelings are, I feel, mainly passed down generationally through families. Mainly through parenting.
Right. There aren't any original thoughts, right?
There's no originality, so these aren't my ideas. Therefore, the podcast isn't my idea, posting a podcast isn't my idea, but I've taken all of these great fucking ideas, using them in a way that I could better myself, but also provide the platform of others to feel better and to make themselves better. Like, the idea isn't mine. So
yeah,
here,
of course.
this is the idea that I'm trying to pass along. This is what I learned from it.
Yeah.
Take the idea, if you identify with it, and run with it. It's not mine to say what you do or not do with it. All I can do is be the messenger of...
You're putting yourself out there.
Exactly, and that's all I can do. And, like, for me, like, I'm not only in it to, like, for example, post only good things. Like, yo, there's gonna be points where I'm fucking mad at myself or upset or crying, and, like, you'll see a fucking video of it on Instagram because that's what...
It's real. I feel like a lot of people don't post the real stuff. So I want to get into that, actually.
Oh, yeah,
because,
for sure.
One, you're putting yourself out there. You're being vulnerable. It's not comfortable to be vulnerable. So I recently believe you have to become uncomfortable. Like, it's so important to, like, feel uncomfortable. For instance, let's say someone...
Like, you have to almost get comfortable with the process.
That was my last caption on my last post. Because, it's because it's true, I agree with that. It's like you need to become comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, for instance, let's say making a lifestyle change. Let's say someone's overweight, or let's say someone's super skinny, and they want to better themselves, and they want to go to the gym. They're not going to be comfortable in the gym at first. I wasn't. Sometimes I'm not now. It's like, yeah, some days I feel great, but other days, like, I'm like, yo, what happened? Or just like, no one feels good every day. I feel like that's a big thing for people to realize, or people that struggle with, like, depression or stuff like that. Like, nobody's life is perfect. On the outside, you might see me like, I don't know how people perceive me, but like, he's in shape, he has a nice car, his life is great. But like, nah, like sometimes I'm like, I mentally feel like my body is never good enough.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest thing with me. It's like, no matter how I look, I could always be better. It's a mental fuck.
Because like for me, one thing that I always, like, in terms of, like, appearance and looking at myself in the mirror, one thing that I was always very insecure about were my love handles. Just, I had the fat on the side. Like, at one point, at my heaviest was, like, junior year. Literally right before I buzzed my head. Okay. The first time.
Your hair was super long.
I was 190 pounds.
Wow,
And, like, for me... It was all here, and that's what I saw. And, like, then eventually I thinned out, but there was no definition or muscle. And I was like, all right, that's the next thing. And then I started running, and then I saw a little bit of my body transforming. And, like, I see the improvement, but then when you see the improvement in areas, you also see the shit that has been lacking a little bit, and you're like, yo, that could be a little better. That shit could be just a little better. 100%. And then if you don't work on the shit that can be a little better over time, it's like, fuck. Now I gotta really work on this shit so it's all in balance and all at balanced strength with the rest of my body. And like, I think it's important. Like,
it's important not to be hard on yourself.
Yeah, like,
like. I'll tell you my experience. So before quarantine, I did a show. I did a bodybuilding show at my cousin Sal. He coached me. I got into the best shape I ever did, like abs, veins.
All of it.
Oh man, it was surreal. Like, it was crazy. It was so hard. It was so selfish of me. I couldn't eat with my family. I was following so strict. It's crazy to do.
Yeah.
But I did it because I said, like, if I never did it, I would hate myself. I needed to just,
experience.
I needed to experience
like, you needed to do, like, I feel...
It was important to go through with it, even though it's crazy.
Yeah, I think, like, for all of the people listening who... I guess don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
Do shit that you think you'd like.
Just go for it.
Because the only way you'll find out if you like...
If you try, yeah.
Like, yo,
I think passion is so important.
Yeah, like you can.
So if this is your passion
and purpose, like you have to have a purpose and a goal, and like, and you also have to balance it with responsibility. Like,
of course.
Like I've learned, like, for me, like, one thing this past trip that I've learned with the mushrooms is one thing I've known and what I've felt and learned. What you said, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's one thing that I've always known. But then when I've tripped and when I think about that thought, it's like, wow, like, you feel it because it's true. Like, you really need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And, like, that comes with doing things that you may like, because the one thing that we do before doing shit is not doing shit.
We'll
push it aside and
we'll play through scenarios in our head. Oh, what if this person says this? What if this person thinks this? It's like,
but we only ask the question. We never answer that to ourselves. Like, it's like, yo, what happens if I put this out and, like, my grandparents hear it, and then I can think about all the different things? Or it's like, oh, the answer is that they listen and then they tell you your concerns and that's it. It's like, oh, that's it?
Yeah.
That's it? There's nothing else to it?
That's funny.
All right, cool.
It's funny you say that. I wrote this down. It says, taking the first step, what's the worst that could happen? Because at the end of the day, no matter what anyone's doing, whether I'm starting to train people or help people with diet advice or help people with training advices, which I want to do. Anyone who asks questions, I will answer them all. Like, I want people to feel confident. I want to help others, like, get the body they want, feel the way they want, because I think it's so important. It's helped me. But to back to what I was saying is what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? Me putting myself out there, like saying that, like, saying that this is what I'm passionate about. Like, whatever. People unfollow me. I don't care. What's the worst that could happen from people seeing you post about your podcast?
They unfollow.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, what's it matter? If they don't want to be there, then they have the choice not to. It's like the people that hate and then still follow. I don't know. I don't get that. Yeah, like, just let it go. Like,
it's it's more. Everything's a reflection of the self. So if they're putting out that negativity, it's really for them. But one thing that I literally just felt more and more, which made me so happy because it's so true. I wrote it in all caps, and I wrote, "We are all doing the same fucking thing." And what I mean by that is, like, the one thing that turned the mindset of avoiding my shit to addressing it head on was talking about it.
Yeah.
And from talking about it, it has led me to, like, talking about it has made me more confident in myself in all areas of life, which in turn made me start a podcast, which the platform of it is talking. Something that has brought you from the quote dark to the light in terms of, like, kind of addressing yourself.
Yeah.
Physical fitness and trying to work out. And that's what that has worked for you, and that it will help others.
That's the thing. It's like I know my knowledge on training, nutrition, and supplements. If people want my advice, they could have it.
Exactly.
It's like all they have to do is ask. I'm a pretty open book with that.
Yeah.
So that's what I basically want to do, and you want to do the same. You want to help others.
Exactly.
And I feel like we realized that early. We're in our 20s, and I still think people.
Today is my last day as a teenager.
Yo, happy early birthday!
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah. But as you were saying.
Yeah. That people who, I guess, didn't figure that out, I hope they do. I hope people figure out that, like, the end goal, I feel like, is to really just help others. Is be a giver.
Yeah, like, literally, like,
going back to what we said at first, selfish and selfness is
like selflessness. It's like, it's both, like, you are going to get as much as you give, because the opposite ends of the spectrum are giving and getting. And when you give 100%, you give love, you give positivity and empathy and support, you're going to get that back, and you're going to see it coming to you because that's the wavelength that you're on. That's the frequency that you're vibrating at. Like, that goes back to when you feel the energy in the room. I feel like I can walk into a room, and for a lot of people, it's like, oh, yeah. Like, some people, it's like, oh, like, yeah, it's Joe. Like, cool. Then, like, people see me. It's like, oh, shit. Like, I went to Cortland, and then after tripping in Cortland, I slept there. Then the next day, I went to Bing, and I stayed with my friend Sebastian Nalfont. But I got to see Tom McNeil, John Hagen, John Luke. Awesome. I got to see everyone, and I walked in, and everyone was just like, oh, shit. Like,
was this before you started obviously
this was I've recorded stuff already at this point, and I walked in, like, Nick Macri was there, Vano, John Luca, and now, my glasses, because now I started wearing glasses for the first time in forever, because tell you the truth right now, like, I know that it says Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday on that calendar. It's all a blur.
Oh, see, I can't relate. I have 20/20.
And that's gay, bro. Keep it there.
Yeah, I hope as soon as my vision goes, I'm gonna just be so angry.
Yeah, but no, I've realized, like, because for me, for the past, like, year and a half or so, like, and it's so crazy how everything ties in, because, like, I really saw it when I started college in my lecture halls. I couldn't see the words on the huge fucking screen fully, and then, like, I couldn't see things clearly, literally and figuratively. So then it intertwined, and then I was in a relationship for a year and a half, which was the single greatest experience that...
Yeah, being in love is awesome.
Yeah, and like that, like, I learned so much, and now being almost... Well, now it's going to be almost half a year out of it soon. Like, it's just so crazy because, like, the transformations that have come through, I guess, really quarantine. Like, I felt like I always kind of knew that, like, as great as Rachel was, I was trying to convince myself that she was the one, when I always kind of knew that she wasn't the one for me, because our interests were very different. Like, I wasn't so happy with myself, and I put a lot of pressure on her because I was putting so much pressure on myself because I wasn't happy with myself, and I was very anxious about the state of the relationship all the time. And it was just a clusterfuck of things that, at the end of the day, I wasn't seeing clearly, and it was figurative, but it was also literal. And when the first time I tried on glasses, that thought came, and I was like, fuck me, like, fuck, like, how did I not experience this whole time without the glasses? And then I'm like, oh, I should go, like, not like, I should go fuck myself in the kindest way, because
I think that, like, triggered something, like, I don't know, I would guess it's not a metaphor, but...
Yeah,
a metaphor, like, seeing clearly both...
All of the things that are literal and figurative are all the same
intertwined.
They're always intertwined. It's like there is no literal lesson without the figurative. It's the same thing. Like, it's literal or it's figurative,
that makes sense.
It's both. Like, for me, I tried on the glasses and I was like, wait. I'm seeing shit clearly. I'm looking at shit. I'm like, I can read that. I see more depth in the leaves and the trees. And then I'm like, oh, I see a bunch of shit that I also didn't do so right. Not only in my relationship, but in experiences through that. And I'm like, oh. The lessons are always there for me. I try to stay as open to learning as possible, and, like, even as simple as something as putting on glasses changed the whole perception of which I live by.
So your action of putting on the glasses kind of led to
this.
So that's cool. So, and I just want to reiterate, that could be different for everybody.
Literally.
You know, I feel it could be going for walks outside, just going in the woods, and just without, you know, don't put headphones in, don't go on your phone, just look around. I feel like that I've been doing that recently. Is every day I go for a walk. I just go for a walk. I look around. I go for the walk in the woods, or like by a beach. I'm just in
Yeah.
nature, and I just think clearly. I'm just like, oh, I could think about what's going on in my life. What are my thoughts? What do I want? What do I need to do? And that, for me, was going for walks outside in nature. For you, that could have been putting on glasses.
Yeah, and even so, like, it's
You
always
know?
for me, like, it's like going on walks
Yeah.
does it for me too, in the sense of like
Seeing clearly.
not only seeing clearly, but like I feel like in terms of like consciousness and how thoughts get passed around, like the walls are very like containing, quote, artificially.
Mm-hmm.
They keep the thoughts in here, thoughts bounce off the walls. The same
It's
thoughts
easier to
kinda
focus
stay.
too.
Like, yeah, like honestly, like, yes, in certain cases, yes, in certain cases, no, in terms of like being in here.
Yeah.
When I'm outside, like, I don't think about it as like this containment right here.
We're in a room.
Is not only it's not only is it a room, but it is like it's the universe containing itself. And then when you go out into the hallway, there's a different energy field. And then when you go,
I'm with you on that.
when
yes.
you go outside,
Okay.
it's no longer, there's no containment. You are in what is the universe in a sense. There's no containment that you feel, and then not only are your thoughts flowing, but the trees are talking to you too. Like the tree, like what I feel, and like I feel that, and this isn't my idea, it's not even close to original, obviously,
Yeah,
but the mushrooms are the trees trying to talk to us.
Okay.
In the sense that, like,
so I can't relate, but
yeah,
I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
But,
So
yeah.
what you're saying is when you trip on mushrooms and you go for a walk, you feel like the energy in the nature, it's all talking to you. Your mind is expanding.
It always is. We've been shut off. We've been put on a different program, so when we vibrate as energy and live our lives, we don't feel it and notice it. When I trip,
That's interesting you say that. Yes.
not only it's, you know how like that we have to support others and like,
Yeah, of
just,
course.
I feel that not only with humans, but then it's also the trees, and then you see animals, and then the animals understand that you are not on the program that you're usually on. They're saying, welcome back, motherfucker. This is where you're supposed to be. It's almost like, hey, wake up. Like, you're not who you think you are. And then when I think about it, it's like, they're right. I'm not this, like, quote, human. I am this human being, but that's not all of who I am. And for me, like, we're so young as, like,
of course,
human beings. Like, the trees have been here much longer than us. Most of the animals on this planet have been here much longer than us.
Yeah.
A lot of them know their purpose here. We as humans, I
mean, the end goal is to find our purpose.
Yeah.
And you're saying you found that quicker through using mushrooms.
Yes and no. I feel like I understood the gist of, like, I think the system that we have, like, and how it functions, it does equally good and bad, but I think a lot of people are not considerate of, like, I guess this is how I scale it, like, this term that so many use, intelligent life, especially regarding aliens or other intelligent life on this planet.
Okay.
I feel that everything is conscious in the sense that, like, we as beings are conscious. We, as a bunch of beings that are living, live on this planet.
We know we're in a room. We know where we're talking.
Yes, and like, and not only that, there are so many people doing whatever they're doing, but they make up the Earth. Mm-hmm. The Earth, therefore, living, conscious, alive. The Earth is a part of a solar system that revolves around the star. Conscious, alive.
Okay.
Not only separately, as different attention points, but also collectively as one. Now let's go the other way. We are made up of all of our organs, and our organs are made up, not only our organs, but also red and white blood cells, which are all made up of atoms.
Cells. And
where does the consciousness start and end? And for me, I feel like as we are conscious here and how everyone is conscious, and then the earth overall has a collective consciousness that it experiences, but it also experiences the earth as itself, as one thing.
Mm-hmm.
We do the same thing with, like, we are the earth to our, like, to the cells, almost. Like, we are to the cells as the earth is to us.
So, okay.
If that makes sense.
Alright, so I've heard this before. So I've listened to a podcast of these, this kid from the UK and this other guy who they tripped on mushrooms. They took psychedelics. Mm-hmm. I think this one guy took ashwagandha, is that it? Ayahuasca, yes. And
that's crazy shit.
He was saying that's the same thing. It was something like there's more than one self. And you probably understand it. I can't wrap my head around it because I haven't done those things, and to be honest, I don't think I will. Yeah. I don't know. That's just not me.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's just too far from where I go, but I appreciate other people doing it and on trying to understand it.
Yeah.
So from what you and him said about there's more than one self, there's more than like there's just I can't. You explain it better than me.
There's you. So basically, I feel that in terms of being, mm-hmm. like that's kind of the soul. Like we have our innate kind of childhood, like shit that's out of love, and it's like it's right here. We feel it all right here. That's where the spiritual heart is.
He's pointing to his stomach,
and a little bit like I guess under the center of your chest, and like right around where everyone's 2-pack starts to form.
Yeah, yeah.
And like then I feel you have the ego, which is very human. I think it's more of a physical thing. I think that actually comes with being a human.
Yeah.
And then you have that cycle of kind of being both, but not fully one of them, because you're kind of you not only have both of them at your disposal as a tool, but then you have the quote higher self, which is just like almost for me like.
Is that like that leads up to the decisions that you make?
Ultimately, and like I feel like for me, like I guess the best way I can explain it, like on mushrooms, like there was a point where I felt what people would call God. Okay. What I think it really is feeling, and like almost like God is in essence the creator and quote knower of all things. Mm-hmm. God knows, as God, that knowing all things is very boring. So why would God do nothing but create a universe where it can experience as many different things as possible from as many different eyes as possible at once?
That's a lot to wrap your head around.
And then from there, I feel like it's basically God splitting himself up, or herself, or itself up, mm-hmm. and playing hide and seek. Because God knows that it's boring when it knows it's God all the time. And like, at the end of the day, I feel like that's why we are all of the same essence. We are God. We are the creator, but we also are the creation. Because we're just it. We are everything. We are different expressions of the one thing that is just happening all the time. Like people like to look at our interpretation of history and take it as fact. 12 billion years ago, Big Bang, flippity floop, we're here. And like people, I think about it as something that happened after the Big Bang. But what I think it is that we are the Big Bang. The Big Bang, like, that process is always happening. There's no perceived point of past and future because the only time there is now.
That I was just gonna say that, like, I haven't really thought about the past, or like I don't ever sit and think about like, I wonder what happened during the Big Bang, or if there was, or what it was. I don't know. I never think about that.
And like
I guess I'm more of a future thinker. I think of like, but I also don't think like, I don't know. I don't sit at night and think about like, what are we? That's just not me. But that's interesting that you do. It's cool to see other people's perspective.
Yeah, like,
you know, like everything you just said, I never like thought about. Like, I've thought about a god. I've thought about like the man upstairs, whatever. Like, I just, at the end of the day, I guess I simplified it to like, yes, there is a god. What he wants, I don't know. Just be a good person.
Yeah, like, and
but for you, it's different.
Yeah,
and,
for me,
and that's
it's
cool.
a whole different, like, for me, I get a whole different feeling in the sense that, like, we create our own reality. Our perspective. Like, we create the way we perceive things through our responses. Like, if we create it, and if God's the creator, if we label the creator as, quote, God, then where is there room to say that we're not?
Because I often hear the term, we create our own reality. We create our own opportunities.
Yeah.
So you did this podcast. You started this podcast. I see how you say, like, you are a creator. You are a part of God. You know, like,
yeah,
that's a part of you because no one did this for you.
Exactly.
No one made you do this. Yeah, people, like, hey, you should do this, but no one was like, no one did it for you. You did the work.
Yeah, like, and
I see how you relate those two things.
Yeah, and like for me, like, I think the God, like, what brings everything back to like me feeling that I'm God, and I think that you're God as this sense of like, it's not something to say like, oh, I'm God, I can do whatever I want, ha ha ha. It's like,
no,
it's like, there's a big responsibility with creating your own reality, because if you are feeling down, and if you're feeling upset, feel that shit. But also know that it is coming from the inside. No one is doing anything to you that, even the most traumatic of experiences, like, for me, I think it's about like forgiving, because you gotta forgive and be grateful for you. Whatever the other person, whatever they've done to you, forgiving's best for you. Like, you're giving up the resentment of an experience that is not right now.
Yeah, I liked what you said when everything you're feeling is yourself. It goes back to when we talk about perception. You define the way you see the world. 100%. It's like, and it changes day by day. Some days it's a good day. I got all this stuff done. I feel good. I did everything I needed to do. Everything I wrote down, I did. But then there's some days you just wake up it just doesn't work.
It doesn't feel as good.
You just want to go back to bed. And look, it's okay. It's normal.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to normalize not being so perfect.
I think,
obviously, all these celebrities, which I think is just, I am not one to put celebrities on a pedestal.
Yeah.
I hate that we idolize these people, unless they're doing a lot of good stuff for their community and giving people value. But like, some of them just, whatever. That's a whole different topic. I think everyone just needs to realize what you perceive is the way the world is.
Yeah, like, you can't, like, it's so crazy, because in a physical sense, like, it's such a crazy, like,
It's a lot to wrap your head
it's
around.
It's a crazy thought to articulate into words, because like it really, for me, like it really is a feeling. I know that no matter what I say, like something will always get lost in translation, and I can't feel you. I can't make you feel what it feels like to trip or to experience what I'm trying to share with you. It's impossible, but like,
I think it's important for people to think objectively, though. Is to like pretty much forget everything they know and be open to new information. So for me, it's hard for me to relate about tripping on mushrooms because I never did it.
Yeah.
But I could let go of everything I think about it and just learn
from what people who have done it have said. And like, I got you. Like 100%. For me, that was the main thing for me. Like with alcohol, like I've always had like a deep resentment for it, and that was mainly for my mom's alcoholism. Mm-hmm. That what I've realized is that a lot of shit, my relationship issues, it's all childhood shit that has to be addressed. And like if you don't recognize that, like if you or if you almost actively avoid it, like I feel like things that people actively avoid are the answers that they're looking for in terms of
100%.
Talking about those things, and like for like there's no.
I think it's important for people to address their problems.
Yeah, like there's no.
It's healthy too.
Yeah, it's very healthy, and that's what people have been deterred from, because like we were saying before, like people, like, or I should say what I was saying before, like in school, I think there's a very like, you're not powerful lesson taught through school because of the individuality that is not paid attention to, and like.
School's so cookie.
When you combine that lesson of not being powerful and telling people at an early age that sharing their feelings is not only almost wrong and shows a sense of weakness, like, then people aren't going to share their shit, and then people are going to become less powerful because they believe that they're not, or as it is, and then they don't share their shit, which does the opposite of what they've been taught that works.
So we're kind of programmed to like not share our thoughts. That's why recently this whole mental health, it's being talked about more, which I think is good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very good.
So people are starting to realize not everyone's perfect. Everyone goes through shit. Everyone deals with stuff, and school doesn't really teach that.
No,
it's on the real world. That's where like stuff happens, and I'm glad people are talking about mental health more, or like issues.
It is physical health. Mental health is physical health, and physical health is mental health. I'm a believer. Like for me, like I've come to understand at the fundamental level that people need to feel good in their skin no matter what. People need to feel good.
Confidence is important.
People need to be like, fat people, we need to put more confidence into fat people, not because it's healthy or unhealthy, but people will just feel better if you're being kinder no matter what.
Yeah.
If you perceive them as fat, skinny, good looking, not looking, ugly, beautiful, fucking 2 legs, 3 legs, 1 arm, no arms, like, and you can't, like, you have to go into it, like, almost not, like, you gotta be empathetic, but also empowering, and, like, not being sorry, in a sense, like, because, like, for me, all of the experiences that you've experienced have led you to this point, and I will never be sorry for that, or discount that, because then you would not. It would be me saying, I'm sorry for who you are and who you've become, which I'm not. I'm never sorry for people in that sense, because...
You shouldn't be.
Exactly.
Everyone's in charge of their own decisions.
Yeah.
That's why you see people, unless obviously there's outliers, but if someone really messed up their entire life, whether it was drugs or something like that, like I'm talking not like weed or mushrooms, like hardcore, like
no, yeah, crazy shit, and even weed and even mushrooms, like these things will happen. It's not
like
perfect
I said,
for everyone.
It's but I would never feel sorry for someone. It's their choice.
Yeah,
Look, I don't know. It's what you said. It's a collection of all their decisions.
Yeah, and I feel like me feeling sorry for them makes me not only feel sorry for myself, but it puts out a less empowering energy for them, and then I'm giving myself a less powerful energy to kind of feel, and like.
So you treat everyone the same.
And it's not yes and no, because there are people that I have extreme admiration for and have a high respect for, and then there are others that I don't, but fundamentally.
Yeah.
We all are doing what I believe is the hardest thing to do in any experience that I've ever had in existence, which is be a human being and figure it out. It's like the hardest.
I would say figuring it out is the hardest part.
It's like because generationally we've been passed down. Our grandparents were told to figure it out. Our grandparents told our parents to figure it out, and then our parents told us to figure it out. And now I feel like this generation, more so than ever, is like, wait, whoa. You don't got it figured out. Your parents don't got it figured out.
No
your
one
grandparents
figured out.
And like what I feel is like we all have some part of it figured out, and the only way to figure it quote all out is by talking about it. And like what I think it is not like.
And I feel like that's happening.
I think it. If we're gonna talk about language-wise, capital I. It's not figure it out. It's like figure it out. Like whatever it is for you, and by it I mean
happiness
and feeling secure. And not secure, being self-secured, like self.
It's a lot of things comprised into one. So, like you said, being secure, being happy, being confident. I feel like it's the general feeling of being aware, being able to be compassionate, being able to think objectively, being able to have perspective.
Yeah,
it's all that's it. I feel, and you know what's helping podcasts, and just I feel like YouTube or just people talking, like
it's
you said.
information. Like I feel like we're
in the information age,
and like everything can always be used as information, whether it's the hardness of it, meaning the structure. For example, the whole podcast.
Yeah.
Or internally, meaning the content. Things that we say, and like that can be used and can be perceived in all different ways. And I think that overall these are conversations that need to be heard, and that's exactly why I have a microphone here. I've been doing these conversations are not new to me. Recording it, new. Putting it out to the world, new. But it's important because I think
it's important too.
People are going to listen to this, and people are going to
I want people to listen to this.
People are gonna understand more of people are gonna have a better understanding of how I've experienced things and how you've experienced things, and you, not only meaning you specifically for this episode, but whoever I have on for any episode, there's shit to learn.
It's perspective. I'm interested in your perspective. I'm interested in other people's perspective. Because we all grow up different.
Yes.
And we all have different experiences. We all think different things. So I really learned perspective is so important in understanding others.
Yeah, that's because everyone has a different one. I think going back to kind of, or being the way I can explain it is being God in those terms, even though it's not. I know it's not fully what I'm trying to express because it's just words and they're not going to get the full point across. But it's just really. It's
a feeling. Yeah,
it's just a feeling of you're doing shit people, it's the question of do you create your own reality or is it predetermined? And for me it's both. I would agree. I feel much of the things that I'm doing now is alright, I'm creating selective. My reality and I'm doing what I want to do. On mushrooms, shit falls into place.
So
and then
do you
like,
feel like the universe, when you trip on mushrooms, do you feel the universe like you don't create your own reality, you just go with it? Yeah.
yes, and like in the sense that like a lot of the things that like that thought specifically, I feel, and feeling that things are just falling into place.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people freak out.
So that's where I would freak out, because I like being in control of my own reality. I like being able to make choices. You know how how I do things. I'm a very like I make my own decisions.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I do this, and etc. That would be a very scary feeling.
Like,
for
yeah,
me.
for me, like it's gone to.
But you learn to accept it.
For me, what I've realized is that we've created this like sense of control to desire that is never really there. I feel like the answer of do we create our own reality or does shit fall into place? Shit falls into place because you create it to be that way.
Yeah.
You think shit and speak shit into reality. Conor McGregor fought, talked his shit, trained his ass off, became champ. Two first UFC champion in 2 different divisions simultaneously. He created his reality, but shit fell into place just how he said it would.
Because he did the work.
And
you know,
like,
yeah. So the other podcasts I listen to, they're really big on doing the work. Like how I would say they think less of like I guess emotion, but like, so bottom line is one of their biggest thing is you and me, we don't have problems, we just have more work to do. You know, like we both have legs, we both have arms, we're both able-bodied individuals. You know, I feel like I think like that too sometimes, because like it's easy to feel sad. You could feel sad every day and not know why, but then it's also like a point where you have to put your foot down and be like, enough is enough. I need to do this, or I need to change my life. Taking the first step. You know, anyone in any position, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever, if you're not happy, take the first step.
Yeah, whatever
always
direction.
Work to do.
Yeah, like there's always, and like for me, like a lot of people get scared with
it's not easy.
Because like I think. And I've explained this multiple times through the podcast, but like, for me, very big numbers guy, and the way I like to articulate that exact thing of doing the work through sequences of numbers and specifically the limits of those sequences. And I guess for you, I'm just going to write it down but also talk about it at the same time, because this is how I think about it mostly. So you have a 1 sequence that starts at the number 1. Mm-hmm. And say this sequence is thinking about all of the things that you have to do in order to get to where you want to be.
Okay.
Right? You start at 1, but then you go to 2, and then you go up forever on its way to is tending towards infinity.
Yes.
The limit of that sequence, let's say the limit is almost where you like. What is the limit? Is the amount of steps you will need to take
to get
in
to where
order
you
to get.
Be, yeah.
Since it never ends, you will never do enough to get to where you want to be. That's the first sequence, when it's starting 1, 2, 3, and like you have to do this thing first, then this thing second, and then this thing 100th, and then this thing 1,000,000th. Like,
so
it never ends.
It's funny you say that. Just how you said that in numbers, I wrote that down as in live in the present moment, because what makes you happy today may not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly what you just wrote.
Literally, like not only that, like.
But go on, I want to hear the second
with
sequence.
this sequence, the whole sequence is 1s.
Okay.
The limit of that sequence let's say the letter N is the nth thing that you have to do.
Yeah, okay, like 10th, 11th, 12th.
As that gets to infinity, the limit of that sequence is 1. What I interpret that from is you do one thing at a time.
Okay.
in the present moment. And then from there, since the limit is 1, not only are you not only are you always on the track of getting where you want to be, because not only is the limit of the sequence 1, but the whole sequence is 1, so you're kind of doing shit one thing at a time, and not only are you getting to where you want to be, but you're always where you want to be because you're doing thing now one thing at a time.
And this could be applied to anything in life.
Anything. And like,
yeah.
When I think
some people might not understand it, but I actually do understand it because I could relate in fitness. That's how I related. So let's say you have a goal. Every day you work up to the goal, but when you reach it, there's always a new goal.
Yeah,
no one's ever
shit.
satisfied.
Like, yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be satisfied. You know how, like, imagine someone gave you a podcast and it was, I don't know.
I didn't do the work.
Would you feel satisfied? No.
I would feel. I don't know how I would feel because it's not even. But like if I were able to, I wouldn't perceive it as something that's mine, as something that's organically created that I did. It would be, hey, this platform was given to me and I'm very grateful for it. I guess that's how I would feel. But there wouldn't be that sense of, I did this from the ground up.
I think it's good not to be satisfied.
I think
in some aspects.
I think I guess like I feel like
because there's always another person to help.
You shouldn't be almost like, I feel like what you're trying to say is that you don't want to get complacent with the satisfaction that you feel for too long because there is shit to do. Like,
yeah.
You can't relish in the moment forever because then it's like, but
do learn to appreciate
that shit, and then it's like, all right, let's move on. Let's get more shit done. Let's help more people. Let's keep moving. And 100%. Then when you feel that, hey, like, I need to take a break because I feel that I'm being overworked. If that's a feeling that you feel, then guess what? You relax.
Yeah.
You do whatever the fuck you need to do to chill out so you can recharge. Like, there's no, like...
Yeah, rest is important. No one... Look, anyone who works every day of their life, productivity starts to dwindle. Like, I'm also not one of those people to say, oh, yeah, I gotta outwork everybody. Yeah, of course, it's given, but, like, at some point, you do have to experience life. Like, you do, I feel you earn your rest. We talked about this before. You work to a certain point, but then you go out with your friends or you go out with your family. You need to enjoy life.
Yeah, I think people...
And I learned that recently.
Yeah, I think that, like, I feel like a lot of people, like, take the no days off, and, like, I get it because they want to get to a point where they want to... chill for the rest. Like, they're aspiring to a point where they can be financially secure enough to not only take care of themselves and a family and generations after that, but then it's like, I can do whatever I want now. But I also feel like it's kind of important to, like, do those things now. Like, one thing I was thinking about on the mushrooms was like, is sobriety the answer? Like, I'm full blown going deep. I'm like, is that really the answer? Is that what I need? And then for me, it's like, what does that, like, because for me, I'm like, yes, I do feel good. Yeah. But I also feel that the restriction in itself is very, like,
restrict yourself.
Because for me, it's like, I'm not thinking about long-term, forever sobriety. I was thinking about it more in, like,
a period.
Until I'm good, but at the same time, it's like, I am good because I've always been in that sense. Like, I've always, like, been in that awareness state once I was in it, and now it's like, all right, what do I do with this information? And for me, like, like, mental wise, like, there's addictions for sure. For me, it's more so with food. Like, yeah, like, I'm addicted to weed. Like, I'm not going to be one to front. Like, I used to say it, for sure. I used to say it, like, yeah, like, oh, I'm not addicted to weed. But, like, you've probably heard me say it before. Like,
maybe one. If
yeah,
but like,
for me, it's like, we're creatures of substance abuse, and we're going to choose the things that, and like creatures of addiction, because it's really patterns, and it's the energy that we vibrate at, and the frequency, and the program that we're on, and like you kind of got to see what's most beneficial to you and to others. I feel.
So what are some things that you feel like you're personally addicted to? Because I feel like everyone, to a certain extent, is addicted to like some. Everyone has addictions.
We are creatures of addiction.
100%. I have an addictive personality.
Like I feel like we all do, in the sense of like we do gravitate towards the things that
make us feel good.
And but then there's a fine line of, is it making you feel good or is it making you feel less bad? And for me, I use weed to celebrate, for sure.
Okay.
I also use weed to give myself more creativity in certain spots, and then there's sometimes where I'm using it to be very insightful, and then there's sometimes that I'm using it as a nice therapeutic relaxer, and then there's sometimes where I'm like, I just want to smoke. I don't want to deal with shit. And like, that's, for me, like...
That's interesting.
It's like, for me...
Because I don't smoke, so it's like, I'm interested to hear your perspective.
Yeah, like, for me, like, I think that... Like, I definitely have a relationship...
Would you say you have balance? But like, it took time to learn balance.
Yeah, like, for me, like, there was a point where I was just ripping the pens all day in school. Bro, at senior year, and, like, I had a dramatic shift, because before senior year...
I know, you never...
I didn't burn.
Like, I remember freshman, sophomore year, you like, didn't touch weed.
Yeah, I was
against it.
I was. I had a resentment towards it, like, same thing with alcohol, and then I tried the weed and I switched. So dramatically. Yeah. And then I was carrying the pens around all day. I was getting stoned all day. And, like, it was fun. It was sick being in school, being stoned. And Tonneville's a shit show. They don't give a fuck.
Tonneville, I feel like we had a good high school experience.
Like, we, for sure. And, like, I walked into school stoned. And, like, I remember, like, not really putting in eye drops all too much, too. So, like, I would just walk in and it's like, you look in my eyes and I'm like, Bloodshot, but I'm still there and paying attention. Like, if teachers have called on me, I've answered the question. Like, I'm sure Mr. Fortunato, he was my calc teacher. He was my pre-calc teacher, and then he was my calc teacher. And it's mad funny, because I used to sit... I was like, it was two seats, and then I think it was just one, because I think we had a group of 5, and it was... me, Chris Cipollone to my right, Dylan Trotter sitting across from him, Jaden Gentile sat across from me, and we would always be talking during that class, and then Christian Walsh sat to the left of me, and it was just like, sometimes I would be in that class, I'd be like so stoned, but like still doing the test, like yo, kids would be worrying about tests, like, in, like, that class, in terms of, like, oh, shit, like, we got a test going on. Like, I'm ripping the pen from Soliski's class, from finance.
Yeah.
All the way to his classroom,
So you were, like, stress-free, in a way.
Yeah, and, like, it was good and bad, because, yeah, I definitely cared about school less. I definitely was, like, just not...
very easygoing.
Yeah, and, like, it was very... it did equally good and bad for the time... But it did more good in the sense that I've looked back and really understood why I did certain things then. And, like, for me, yeah, I smoke every day.
Okay.
I don't... Sometimes I love it, and then sometimes I'm, like, at the point of, like, all right, like, do I really want to smoke right now? And then,
so that whole concept of smoking every day, I wonder, like, I've never experienced that. That's just because, I don't know, it's just me personally. My experience is I just feel sluggish. I don't feel myself.
You're not on.
I'm just not
bam,
on.
bam, bam.
I'm
like,
not
it's
myself.
a legs.
Yeah, I can't function.
Yeah, I feel
but
like...
some people, I know people, including yourself, they smoke every day and they function fine. I just look, more power to them. You're getting things done. I see you making moves. It doesn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And anyone who says it's a problem, I don't know. Maybe they just like you said, projecting.
Yeah, I think it is projection. Like
You
it's,
know, 'cause
it's
if
self
yeah.
shit. And like for me, I've come to understand that there are things that it takes away from the experience. And like for me, I know that even though if I'm not smoking weed, I'm still affected by it. Just like anything, that's your diet. That's any fuel that you put into your body. All of meds, all of that acronym, like it all affects you. And like why I've come to be a little bit, I get when I'm much less harder on myself in terms of like the drug use societal wise, because like I've come to believe that everything is drugs, everything is psychoactive, and has that effect.
For instance, caffeine. Caffeine is the most used stimulant in the world.
Yeah, like
I'm addicted to caffeine. I love my coffee. I love my pre-workout.
Feels great.
I feel like I took I didn't even take a week off caffeine this week, but I took a week off pre-workout because I like to take pre-workout and then go to the gym.
Yeah.
The blood's flowing, the dopamine rush. I feel amazing. It's just tunnel vision, you know, like
yeah.
It's a good feeling, and if someone told me I had to stop, I'd be like, what? Like,
yeah,
what do you
fuck
mean?
you.
I'm so productive with that. That's my thing, I guess. Caffeine, I love it.
It works, yeah. What works. But I also...
if someone told me to stop caffeine, I'd be like, you're crazy.
Yeah, like
no way.
For me, it's like, as long as you're aware of how it affects you. And
I think being aware is important.
And yeah, it's self-awareness is the key because, like, it's that first step to not being ignorant, but it's hard because... When you take that first step and you're no longer ignorant, you can't go back to ignorance. And ignorance is bliss. It's very bliss.
Ignorance is bliss.
And like when you step out of that, you're stepping out of the bliss and you're like, all right, like there's work and there's no fucking around. Like that's why I kind of think of like in terms of like being God, like there are guys that I see, for example, Khabib Nurmagomedov. He just recently retired. He's a UFC fighter.
Yes, I heard about that. His father died.
Yeah, like for me, like that, like I watched that fight on mushrooms. Like I was tripping when I was watching the fight, and I just saw so much.
You felt energy from it, like watching it.
Yeah, and you always do. Like for me, like I feel that, like in terms of like energy, like. We are all in. I understand that, and I'm very aware of it, and I feel it from a lot of people. Like, for me, like, I feel and notice when something is right or wrong. For when I'm just in a room, and like, if I feel the energy being a little bit colder, it's like, all right, who's radiating that cold energy right now? And then you look at different people, and it's like, all right, this person's upset. Why is this person upset? And like. I try and gauge that, especially in bigger spaces. Like, for me, what I imagine, I don't know if people still hang out, but like, it seemed like every year, it seemed like
I don't know anymore.
both years after high school, it seemed like there was always some type of reunion-ish. Usually at Andrea's, just because that was like always the space. Like it went from being contained. Once we needed a bigger space, it was like, all right, if Andrea was gonna have people over, like Andrea just had people over, and like I feel like I would definitely love another one just to see, like, even though it hasn't been too long since I've seen everyone, like I want to chill. So I want to see everyone, like, kind of. Just see how they are.
Like a reunion in a way?
Yeah. Like
that would be cool to think about, because my circle is super small. Like, I'm from high school, guys-wise, I'm close with Dom Vera, Sam Coops, and Albert.
Yeah.
And I only hang out with them. I don't go to parties. I'm not a party person. I don't go up to colleges. That's not my scene. In all honesty, I feel like I'd be anxious in that type of like environment. Like I can't go away because my routine would be messed up. I'm a very like I've said before. I'm a routine person. I need to do the same things every day, or else I just
you feel
I'm
like you're
stressed
thrown
out.
off of your
Yeah,
shit. Like,
so I guess people who feel thrown off every day,
they're
maybe
used to it. I feel.
You think they're used to it? I feel like that's such a. I feel like that'd be. I wouldn't. I guess.
It's
I guess that's what. Is that what anxiety is?
Yeah, like people
Man.
people are
Thrown off every day.
It's like not only are they thrown off, but at the same time, like where the anxiety comes into play is like getting comfortable with that feeling of anxiety. Then it's like you're anxious, but then when you're not anxious, it's like wait, I'm not usually in the state of mind, and now I'm anxious. And then it's like, are you creating the anxiety? How much of it do you really control? And like, for me, I think the answer is once you're aware, you gain more of that sense of control.
You're right.
And then it's like, how much of it is you attaching to who you think you are? And like
that's a very good point.
And like for me, like a lot of things I attach to because I would attach to things for the sense of who I thought I was, even though I've come to realize I'm not.
You're a new person, right?
Not only am I a new person, and like I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who I think I am. Like it's layers upon like I'm
You've
not
obviously changed and grown.
Yeah, and like what I've come to realize is like even like I'm not the person that I think I am, and I'm not the person that I think I'm going to be. I'm the person that I'm being.
Yeah.
It's perceived in different ways, including my own perception of it.
But you're not the same person who you were from high school.
I'm not the same person I was yet.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm not the same person I was this morning.
Of
like,
course.
You know, like there's...
Do you think people realize that? Or do you think people... Like, alright, so you and me, I would say we think pretty objectively. We're pretty aware of our own thoughts.
Yeah,
Do you think people that don't... or aren't aware of their own thoughts are like... Just... I don't know. What do you think?
I think for me, like...
I would feel... I feel bad for them.
I think a lot of, like, thought... Like... I think at the end of the day, like... Going back to, like, the thoughts not being ours, like, they just kind of flow in. And, like... We attach. Like, we believe our thoughts to be true. We believe them to be ours. And that's, like...
Yeah.
It's just, at the end of the day, not true. Like... It's full-blown not true. There's a thought that you can have and express, as crazy as it sounds. It can be the craziest fucking thing you've ever said. It's been not only thought of before, but it's been thought of by probably everyone before. Because that's how I feel consciousness and thoughts and feelings kind of been flowing through as just... let's put it this way. As we are creatures that live and are alive and are conscious, like, the thoughts and feelings in themselves are conscious. Mm-hmm. They are alive. Like, everything has that sense of, like, I guess physically I should say, like, plants and trees, like, the way we perceive self, they're also doing. That's not human. I think that's across the board throughout the whole universe. Like, the sense of, like, our sense of self and, like, that perception, like, I think all beings and things do. But obviously it's not going to be in the way that humans do it. The Earth isn't going to, quote, think like the humans do. Just like we aren't going to think like our cells do. And like, just like the cells won't think like we will. Just like the trees won't think that we will. And vice versa. But I really do think that there's places to learn. There's opportunity to learn everywhere. And like...
I like that statement. There's always opportunity to learn.
Like for me, they're like...
Podcasts,
podcasts, books, taking anything. Like, I'm probably going to go for a walk today. For sure. And like
it stopped raining, me too.
Like, honestly, yo, I hope it starts raining again. Because this is what I think. This is what I've really thought about. And I know a lot of people don't think. People think about standing in the rain or sitting in the rain or walking in the rain as like depressing or sadness or weird.
That's what society's like.
Ready?
Yeah.
Trees, flowers, grass get poured on to grow.
Yeah.
The best feeling I've ever had in my entire life. Standing in the pouring rain, like this, looking up, getting rained upon on my face. Like a flower, like a tree. And they grow. I can't see outside my window because of these things. And I'm very grateful for it. Too, like, it's half like, oh shit, I can't see the view.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, look, that is the view. It's the leaves. They're alive. They're doing the same thing we are, and I think that they know their purpose here. Like, I feel like we're trying to, like, what we've done is created a societal structure, which I believe has come through the relationship of spirituality and experiences on psychedelics with religion. I think religion is trying to put those things into words, and what it's done is put a lot lost in translation.
I've heard that before.
I used to be very like, oh, I'm not religious. I'm religious as fuck.
Through psychedelics, though.
And like, but that's what I think the origin of it is.
Of course.
It's those, like, I felt, like there was a point where I felt and saw all of the justification and reasons as to why we're here. Like, I almost felt as if I lived the experience of everyone who's experienced shit. And like, I have a video for you. I have a video for you to watch. I'm going to send it to you like after we're done. It's called The Egg.
Okay.
It's an 8-minute video. I know the channel's popular. It's a long name. I don't know the name of it. Like the name of the channel. I can't pronounce it, but you'll see it. It's like an animated style, and they do a lot of metaphysical questions, and like, it's just such a good video. I'm honestly about to send it to you right now, this second. Oh, wow. The Mets sale is done. Wait, done? Oh, no. Okay. Steve Cohen has officially bought the New York Mets. And that is so crazy because, like, I guess now going into baseball for a little bit, like, this offseason is going to be very weird because a lot of teams have lost money.
I haven't been following.
No, yeah. So basically, coronavirus fucked a lot of shit up financially, of course. Free agency this year is going to be kind of crazy because there are guys who are going to be expecting to make a lot of money. A lot of ownership, like people in ownership who are worth anywhere from the $1 to $5 billion range, have lost money, and that severely affects the value of their franchise and how they run things. Steve Cohen is at the top of the list of net worth, and it's by 3 times. He hasn't lost.
So now the Mets have a really wealthy owner.
Like, they're gonna do what has been considered the Yankee way in terms of buying players and just getting mad good. Like, yo, the Mets got that opportunity now with an owner who can just change the whole dynamic of like the league and also just what the Mets were, and like, I guess, and that changes the whole landscape of like, for me now, Met fans are like, finally we got someone who's gonna spend money. And then for me it's like, yes, even though I'm not a Met fan because I'm a Yankee fan, so like, it's like, yo, it's like, finally, like, just like, I guess tying it all back into like experience, like a lot of me being a Yankee fan, well. Exactly. I want to see everyone do well, and like, in that sense, like, I know like a lot of my friends are Met fans, and like, it's like, yo, welcome to the club of just getting sick ass players and being good. And like being like using having like, I'm glad, like, it's like, albeit in a little capacity, limited capacity in terms of fans, like, I think sports, it's very important for athletes to not only do the shit that they love to do, which they've been working their whole life for, which is this, and getting paid deservingly well, because not only are they a small part of a bigger industry, but they are also they are at the focal point of entertainment live entertainment for fans, like, it's so... I think it's so important because it also brings that, like, team aspect, but also other sports are individual. It's just the competition, like, I really understand, like, doing things for the spirit of, like, competition. I remember hearing that a lot as a kid, and, like, I didn't really understand it, and, like, for me, now it's, like, I train a little bit of jiu-jitsu. Yesterday, we were rolling at my friend Matt's house, and we usually do 5-minute rounds, and, like, the ego gets let go in those cases. Like if you tap, you're always learning something. Like it's not about not tapping out when you're in a predicament, in a submission. Like, it's about, all right, you tap out and you learn. Like,
I heard how do I say
jiu-jitsu
is a big mental game.
Yeah, it's all up here, and, like, it's all, like, for me, it's in the spirit of, we're trying to learn, and we are dancing through trying to tie each other's bodies up in ways to, like, you submit, but you also learn so much. And, like, for guys like Khabib Nurmagomedov and guys like Anderson Silva and Conor McGregor and Justin Gaethje and all these guys who are in mixed martial arts, they make this world equally more dangerous and more safe because they are provided with the skill set to be potentially the most dangerous men on the planet. But that gives them the security within the self of never having to be anxious about what they've done at the core of our experience, and what we've kind of done for all beings' experiences is survive.
Yeah.
They, at the core, attacked the fundamental, like, state of being when they're in survival mode. Is it fight or flight anxiously, or is it fight or flight, I'm coming out of this a winner or dead trying?
I would say it's super important to have competition.
Yeah.
To what you're saying, but even if it's competition with other people or competition with yourself, it's
the set, like, in terms of here's how I'll put it: competition for learning and gaining respect and giving respect. Like, I got my brother in the sickest armbar yesterday. I had his arm. We were going at it for a while, and then I swung my leg over, was holding onto his arm, and then we both rolled over, and then I still held onto the armbar, and then I bridged up a little bit, and he tapped. Yeah. And, like, it's sick because we both learned something in that moment, and it's just like, A, are you okay? Is your arm still intact? It's like, awesome, great. There's an embrace, and it's just like, like I love doing it, and I love competing with people and also sparring with people that I love, because it's just, I'm there.
Would you say you're passionate about it?
I'm passionate about it in the sense that, like, I'm not obsessed with it.
Yeah, you don't have to be obsessed. Yeah.
I love being in the moment of just flowing.
Yeah,
and, like,
that's awesome.
Like, I feel like with competing, that comes well with opposition that isn't yourself. Really testing your waters in that sense. But then the comparison, the comparison part that comes with competition should never be against others. The comparison should never be me comparing me to you and vice versa.
Yeah,
what it should be...
You can never compare yourself to others.
Yeah, and, like, for me, like, one thing that Jordan Peterson says is, like, if you're going to compete with someone, compete with yourself from yesterday. Because that's the most recent thing that is closest to your being that you can really compare yourself to.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, shit. Am I better than I was yesterday? And, like, that's what you kind of have to go by. You have to either, like, you got to just be and do shit now. And it's like, all right, do whatever routine works and whatever flow you get into. You have to kind of just almost sit down with yourself and ask yourself as much as you can, like, all right, like, am I doing better than I did yesterday? And if it's a yes, then awesome, keep going. If it's a no, you say, all right, what will help me get there? But at the same time, you also have to ask, what am I doing that's making me feel that I'm not doing it every day? You can't go straight into doing
it's the
like
little
the
things.
shit. It's
So
the little things.
learning little things every day.
You gotta
How would you feel you go about like from thinking of starting a podcast to actually starting it? What were like some of your steps?
So basically, ever since like freshman year of college, I've really wanted a podcast. I have a Snapchat video that I will show you after this, saying that I wanted to start one around this time 2 years ago.
And you did it. Yeah.
And like I never did it. And then I went through the first 2 Ultimate Growth Challenges with Nick because he did like 30-day ones.
Okay.
The third one, which is the most recent one, not only we had workout goals, but then we had 2 goals outside of it. We had our feared exercise, which my main 2 feared exercises are push-ups and pull-ups.
Okay.
Like headspace wise.
Yeah, of course.
So like we were already doing push-ups and we've done push-ups. So I said, you know what, my feared exercise is pull-ups. Mm-hmm. And we had to do the feared exercise every day and try to improve every day. Then we had a non-workout goal.
Okay.
My non-workout goal was, I was like, fuck it. I wanted to do this for so long. Let's create the podcast. And then from there, I sat down with my friend Nick, and it was just like, all right, like, he's also was someone who had a podcast, so I knew that he knew kind of the steps to take.
Advice,
And then when he put the advice down on paper, it was just like, wow. It's this fucking easy. It's not that hard to do.
It seems so much like when you haven't made any of the steps, but as soon as you start taking steps, it gets easier.
Because originally I was thinking about it in the sequence of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things to do. Yeah. But then when I realized it's like, all right, I have to do this thing first.
And then
then once this is done, I have to do this. Once this is done, then I have to do this. It wasn't like I had to do this, and then podcast. This was do this, finish it, then do this, finish it, then do this, finish it, and then do this, finish it, and then podcast. Like for me, the first thing was to write down basically my philosophy on life and to get a list from that in terms of talking points that I can potentially bring up.
And I think that's smart.
From there, I can actually probably read you off the list. I think it's in this notebook if I'm not mistaken. By the way, yeah, this is what I did first. It was my 2-page philosophy of just a bunch of different shit.
A bunch of planning, yeah.
And then from there I wrote a list of different points, and then I started creating a small list of questions off of those points.
Yeah, of course.
But even from there, the first thing I had to do was get equipment.
Yeah.
Got the equipment. From there, I needed to find a space to where the noise factor wasn't too much, and it was this room. Yeah, every episode I've sat in this chair squeaks, but it doesn't go over the people like us communicating, so I don't worry about it too much in that sense. But hold on, let me just type in my password. Alright. But from there, I had to figure out the space to do it, and then I had to create a schedule or a list of who I wanted on, and then from there it was the basic people that I talk to every day, but then I definitely wanted to get you on, I wanted to get Hondo on, I want to get Dylan Maricol on,
See, I'm excited to hear theirs, because their perspective is obviously different from mine.
Yeah, and
That's cool.
I want to do it with everyone. That's also part of why I want to kind of see everyone. And I guess speaking it into existence now, we're definitely.
I would want to do it with I would want to do it with another person, so I can pick their brain. I'm
fit.
Picking yours.
I need to fucking hit up Sam Cooperman. I haven't seen him in so long, and it's just even Dom and Albert, because I've had. There's relationships there, and, there's conversations that have been had. But, especially with Sam, it's just he also has been such a big part.
Sam would.
He was also such a big part of, my experience in a similar fashion to where you were, and like, I wanna see everyone. Like at the end of the day, like I wanna definitely provide that. Like I would definitely see people who I'd be like, yo, like let's kind of get this shit figured out. Like
because everyone's. I think the biggest thing you're giving is advice and just perspective. Like anyone who's listening may learn something, or may just think differently, or may. I don't know, or may just have the confidence to just start what they want to do. They see you starting a podcast. They see me pursuing what like health, fitness, and training people. Like, you know, maybe they'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it.
Exactly. I want it to be empowering. Like I don't want, and I know people will see what I'm doing, and then they'll listen to the information. And they'll be like, oh, you shouldn't share that, this, that, whatever. And it's like, people either choose to get down on shit, which is self-projection. Or they self-project in an empowering way. It's like, yo, Joe Boxer's fucking recording his podcast. Don Musto is getting into his passion of fitness and is getting into different areas within that.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, yo, I could do that because they can do it, but also, like, not in that way. Like, I can do it because they can, but I can do it because so many people have shown me that they can.
It's possible.
And it's possible. And like I really think it's important for people to know that shit is just possible, but you have to create it for yourself. You gotta talk about, like, you gotta literally sometimes, like, one thing I did, where is it? Fuck. I don't know exactly. Oh, for the Ultimate Growth Challenge, before it started, Nick had us, like, there is a one thing. Where is it? Oh. It was about the non-workout goal.
Okay.
And, like, what he wanted us to do is kind of just write about the future. And, like, for me, this is what I wrote. Next month, by October 30th, 2020, I would have loved to start my podcast. I want to share my philosophy on life. I want to share my experiences with people. I want to show people that their past experiences are useful pieces of information. These experiences are tools to build each step on the everlasting staircase of ascendance. I have started my podcast, and this was this was a month before all of this. This is what I wrote down. Now I basically wrote down as if I was already there.
Yeah.
I've started my podcast. I have recorded 3 episodes. The first episode was recorded with David. We talked about our connection and what we wanted to do in life. We talked about our dreams, the compound the 4 of us will live on, meaning me, David, my sister, Jen, and my brother, Ben. Mm-hmm. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym / climbing gym we will open one day. The second episode was recorded with Nikki, the kid who started the challenge.
Yeah.
We discussed similar topics that I talked about with David. We talked about what are we doing to help ourselves and each other achieve our dreams. The third episode was recorded. Originally, I said with Hondo because I wanted it to work out with him. And then this will eventually become a reality.
Yeah.
And I just recorded an episode for his podcast, and he reciprocated the same. We talked about our philosophies on life. Also wanted to host a successful podcast, and we also talked about some of the good old days. Like, I know that will happen. And, like, for me, reading back on it, it's just like,
it's possible.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I wrote it down. I'm here. Like, if there's anything I can, like, say, like, I can't say more than that than just, for me, the pen and the paper has helped a bunch in terms of just getting the thoughts from here onto the paper, and then you look at them on paper, and it's like,
I think
shit. You're like,
I think writing stuff down is such a powerful thing.
Yeah, like.
So I did something similar. So what I wrote down months ago is that. So basically what happened was I was in such great shape before quarantine, and then I just went off the wheels, like just stopped working out, started just binge eating like crazy. It was horrible. It was so bad. I gained like so much weight. It was so bad.
I feel you.
It was
bro.
yeah. It was like oh my god. It was bad.
I feel like that's a question.
Yeah. XOA.
Was that because for me, food has been the comfort and ultimate crutch.
Okay.
Binge eating. big thing for
Yeah,
me.
I had
Like,
it and I recently fixed it.
Was it something that was binge eating also something that you dealt with as a kid in terms of like emotion handling, or what do you feel that the binge eating was more of like a recent manifestation of shit?
I mean both. Like I was always like as a kid, my parents, my genetics. Like I'm not like a skinny kid. Like I'm not like
You got mass. You have a mass and frame to you, no matter.
Somewhat, but I built it up. Like
Of
for
course.
instance, I was like an overweight kid when I was younger. I had no muscle. Like I'm not one of those kids that
it's
just
still the mass though. Like that's
kind of
like,
yeah. Like I could put on size, I guess, relatively easy. Like I can gain weight super quick, like easy.
Yeah.
But like it's a lot of it's fat. Like I'm not one of those kids that's genetically gifted. I wouldn't say I'm gifted genetics. It takes so much work.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But what it was is throughout, I think doing the show, being so strict, and then eventually leading up to quarantine is just I couldn't restrain from eating. Like I literally killed boxes.
You couldn't. Like,
I killed boxes of cereal. It was so bad.
Yeah.
And I one day I was like, enough is enough. Like I need to stop. I'm throwing everything I worked so hard over the years away. I'm just like I did not want to. I didn't look at myself in the mirror. I didn't take my shirt off. It was bad. I literally gained like 30 pounds. It was not good. And then like that one day where I was like, okay, enough is enough. I need to stop. I just stopped. I was so upset with myself. I was like, all right, I need to change.
Yeah.
So like that's the day where I was like, all right, I'm doing cardio in the morning. I'm, eating right, and knowledge was the thing that helped me because like now I know what to eat. A lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people don't know what's quote unquote healthy or not healthy, but that's not even the like. That's what I feel bad for people because like they think like, oh, I'm eating chicken and rice and I'm still gaining weight, or like they just don't even understand that it's calories in, calories out. That's what I learned. That's what helped me. So like every day I eat French toast. Every day I eat like grilled cheese. But like every day I eat like I just eat whatever foods I want. But like I track my calories.
So it's more so tracking the calories in and out.
Yeah.
More so than it is.
Because now I know exactly what I'm eating every day. So I've been.
I guess for you, because I know in terms quote like
no, this could
for diet culture. Because for me, like
that might be bad.
There's like ups and downs for me in terms like I'm not a believer in there like because I've heard the terms like there are no good foods and bad foods, which inherently I disagree with. But I also
I mean obviously like a McDonald's cheeseburger, you're not gonna feel good after, but like at the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out. That's the most important thing anyone could ever tell you about diet and nutrition.
And would you say that it's you wanna put out you wanna be at a calorie deficiency in terms of so
if
that
you wanna
so
lose
does that
weight,
mean
you have to be in a deficit? Yes.
So that means you have to eat less, work more, and not like eat like is it like not eat less, work more, and like so basically calorie consumption has to be less than calories that you lose in terms of meat. Okay.
So I'll just give myself for an example. Every day I eat 2,200 calories. On the weekends, a little more.
Eat 22. I'm just gonna say, let's say 25.
Yeah.
For my notes.
There's a range, yeah. But through that, I have certain meals where like I learn different ways to eat. Like different foods have different amount of calories. So like I learned a lot through YouTube. So like people who eat salads and then put dressing on the salad, they're defeating the purpose. Like a salad at like a restaurant could be like 560 calories. Meanwhile, French toast I make at home with egg whites and like low calorie bread is 400. Yeah. And I eat 6 pieces of French toast and I'm losing weight. That's kind of what I want to get to help people is like there's ways to make food that are just less calories. Like you're eating a lot of food for a little amount of calories. So like wraps with low calorie wraps. It's the ingredients, That's what, but I didn't know this before. I didn't always know this. I didn't learn it.
What's cracking? How you doing? How's your day?
Where's my garbage can? It's missing.
I don't know.
Tell
Ask
that on
Pops.
Put that on your podcast.
Ask Pops.
That Dom stole the garbage pail.
I didn't steal
Dom, you stole my name. How you doing?
I'm well.
Nice. Hi, Cooper.
Sorry.
It's all good. Nah, he's fine. He's fine. Welcome back, Coop. But yeah.
Yeah, so like I said,
As you were
if,
saying.
if anyone has any questions about like food or calories or nutrition, just DM me or like text me.
Yeah, I'll
Because
once
I
this
struggled.
is
I struggled
out,
with it. Yeah.
Once this is out, I'm gonna tag you and
Yeah,
do
of
whatever.
course.
Yeah, like this, like
And also training too. It's like people, like I don't know. You have to train hard. Like working out. I learned. I've made mistakes. I made mistakes for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Like I finally know how to work out. I finally know how to eat, and the results will show. You know.
Yeah.
Like that's why anyone who struggles, like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Or I helped Devin recently. Devin was like, Dom, I don't feel my chest in the gym. I was like, okay, do this, this, and this. And then do work out chest, and he was like, "Bro, oh my god."
you feel it.
Yeah. So what I basically told him, if anyone is struggling to engage their chest when you're at the gym, is do pull-ups, dips, push-ups, and then go to like an incline bench press, because you just working out is all about blood flow.
Yeah.
That's all it's about. It's about getting blood flow in the right muscles to engage them properly with the correct form and whatnot.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people, for me, when I would work out, like
Yeah.
now, I'm not like a big like weightlifter.
Yes, I love weights.
Like for me, like I'm definitely more body weight calisthenic oriented, and
That's
like,
cool too.
Like for me, like I guess just doing shit in general, like just doing and like getting the warm feeling, like working out in general, like I've had a weird relationship with it,
Yeah.
and like I think people need to find what they like when they
That's
work,
what it
and
is,
like
yeah.
you can't be so focused on the number. You got to be. I feel like for me, it's like about efficiency,
Mm-hmm.
and like I don't know. Is it more valuable to do 10 half-ass push-ups or one perfect push-up? In that sense, you know, like what defines a perfect push-up? What different types of push-ups have different effects? Like, for me, I've kind of come to believe it's just trying doing shit with
It's
as-
trial and error.
yeah, it's like as best, like with the best form that you can,
Mm-hmm.
and then once you have the form figured out, then you go with that form for reps.
But the thing is, yes, exactly. But this is where people make the mistake: is it's you need progressive overload and intensity. So, if I told you to do 100 push-ups every day, you would be burned out by Friday.
I'd be burned out after the first day. In that
Yeah,
sense.
so
like,
I can't tell someone to do that, and people who do the same exercise every day, you're tearing away the muscle. You need rest.
yeah,
You need to be able to. That's why I train every body part twice a week. So I'll hit chest twice, back twice, shoulders twice, legs twice, whatever. So I give myself 3 to 4 days in between each body part.
Each body part.
So like, I'll do push-ups, and I mean I'm different. I've
it's
been
different.
I've been
like,
working out for years now, but like I'll do like bench Monday, and then a different style of bench Thursday. It's I won't be doing pull-ups every day.
Yeah, like for me, I think I don't know who I heard this from. I don't know exactly which trainer. I'm a trainer for different MMA fighters, but if, for example,
Yeah.
if you at the max, if I was holding a gun to your head,
Okay.
could do 10 pull-ups, I'm not going to make you do 10 pull-ups because then you wouldn't be able to do pull-ups for the next 3 days. And then say you were able to do, say in terms of a week span, you get destroyed, and then it's like, yo, you do 10 pull-ups in the 1 week because you couldn't do them the next 4 days. But if you do three every day, you already, it's the volume, right? It's like more volume oriented. Is it less like, because that's what I've heard from some people, but I've heard some also aren't about that philosophy. I kind of want to hear what yours is like.
That's a good argument. Like, yeah, I've heard that before too. But then, like, when you think of the greatest, like I look like people like Jay Cutler, he's Mr. Olympia, or like Arnold. Everyone has different training styles, and everyone's body reacts to different things. So I noticed for me is I like to kill a body part
and then let it rest,
and then I like to kill it twice a week. So like, yeah, maybe. Because your body grows under pressure, it's intensity. Like, believe it or not, like instead of maybe doing 10 pull-ups at once, I would make you do like 3,
4, or like 3, like I guess.
I don't know, maybe like a few sets of 3, and then go all out. So you got the volume in, and then
you go for the max.
Yeah,
and
so
then since you have the volume, and then it's like, all right, you bang it out. You've worked the muscle.
Yeah.
You let it rest, so it can. Since you can't, like. For me, I guess, like, when you drag it out every day for volume, you get more of the work, but then the resting process is different, and then the way the muscle growth is different, because you're still
failure.
Yeah, like, you need to go to, like, and at the end of the day, like, you're still tearing the muscles on an everyday basis, as opposed to you bang it all out in one shot, but since you know not only your body, but you have an algorithm to which you found an algorithm to where you can simultaneously work out certain body parts to the max while having the other body parts be rested while you're still working.
Yeah, I like that. For instance, I learned my body. I superset arms. So like what you just said, I train biceps and then I go straight to triceps because it's just, one, it's time efficient. 2, the pump is sick. It's like I just learned throughout the years. That's what I like to do. I like to do certain, and then when I get really in depth and explaining to people, certain exercises go before others because it changes the way of blood flow in the muscle. But that's like advanced.
It's
like,
advanced, but it's also
it makes
important.
sense. Yeah,
it makes sense.
Like,
it's like that's even.
But
something,
I wouldn't make a beginner do that. Like,
for me,
I wouldn't make anyone do the workouts I'm doing because
you're so far in.
Exactly.
Like there's sophistication.
You need
to
to build
process,
stability and then go towards. Eventually, maybe where I am, maybe farther. Who knows?
I guess
it depends on the person.
It's more you can't. I guess relating to school, you're not going to jump into a 300 level course when you haven't taken the gen ed for that that prerequisite.
Get your feet wet first.
Exactly, you need to get the basic fundamental shit down, and then from there it's like, all right, you work and you keep working slowly. Like for me.
And I think that's good advice.
Like you gotta lay bricks every day.
Yeah.
You're not gonna like Rome. Like Ben, my brother Ben says this to me a lot. Like Rome wasn't built in a day, but there were licks sprayed every fucking hour that Rome was built. And that's the same. Like if you're laying bricks every hour, and like sometimes laying a brick is taking time to chill out and literally do nothing.
Yeah, I mean.
Sometimes it's more often than not. It's not.
No, but like, you need rest days. You need days to rest. And now, but you also like to get into like pretty good shape. You need what I said. You need sleep. You need diet. You need exercising, and you need to do those the right way. Yeah. And it takes years. It takes years to learn. And I feel like I finally, what is it? I've like 5 years of training. I finally got it. Like I finally know it. I finally can understand it and give it to other people.
It. Like you can apply that shit to other people in a way that
and
it's different
for everyone. Yeah. for instance, if I told you you had to work out 6 days a week, you'd be like, oh, this is crazy.
Too much. Like,
Yeah. So, bro, it's what. That's another thing I would offer. It's individualized to person. Like,
yeah, that's
you know,
need
like
to
I
do,
wrote Albert out a workout plan, and he doesn't go to the gym. He doesn't want to. So I gave him stuff he could do at home with the band and dumbbells. Like,
yeah, like that's
everyone is in a different place. No one
state. Like,
yeah, you need stuff personalized.
Yeah, you need. I feel like for both of us, but it's
Yeah.
more so in your case of like working with the physical and tangible as opposed to what I feel is working with things that we're trying to make tangible, such as thoughts and
Oh yeah,
feelings
you're
and,
definitely like the mental side of
like,
it.
I feel like-
yeah.
And I feel like it works because I think talking about shit makes you physically feel good, but then when you physically feel good,
It's
you
important too,
tend
yeah.
to talk about shit a little more.
It's
and
confidence.
Yeah.
It is 100% confidence.
Yeah, it's like it's really just being sure and okay, and like for me,
And I think what we're both doing
go.
is we're both helping people get to that point where they feel confident.
yeah, like because I know for me, I know what it feels like to feel down and to be upset and to really be, I guess, in the shitter for lack
Yeah,
of
of
better
course.
terms, but like. I know that I'm not going to take that feeling away.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to empower people to kind of realize that, like, they choose whatever they want to do. And it's hard because that comes with accountability and responsibility, saying all of the feelings that I felt and thoughts that I've had and attached to were me doing that. And it's resulted in where I am now, which is...
Putting yourself
like,
out there.
Yeah, and, like, for me... What I realize is that like you cannot heal without hurting. Like there is no
Yeah.
healing without the pain. And that's both painful experiences and through the process of healing. It hurts. It's painful.
You need to fail.
That's why
Failure is
yeah,
important.
failure is not only important, but it's like failure isn't even like failure in the sense of like it's an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
Like everything, you always can come out of it more. Not like for example, and this is how I used to think about like talking to girls, and even still sometimes I'm not the most confident in the way I go about things.
Yeah.
More so, 100%. I've definitely felt more confident and feeling like, hey, at the end of the day, it's either a yes or
You're
a
not
no,
gonna
and
die.
that's it. I'm not gonna die, and
Yeah.
like, it's important to know that. It's important.
I never thought about how other people perceive like talking to like the opposite gender or the
Like
same
for
gender,
me,
whatever
like just
you're,
talking to
whatever
people,
you're
but
into.
like me, like talking to people of interest. Like for
Yeah.
me, I get like I do worry about sometimes what they'll think and what they'll say. But
Yeah,
at the end
of
of the
course.
day, like
Who cares?
I know, yeah, it's like the like I
People
can't
are attracted by confidence.
exactly.
You know,
like,
at the end of the day, if someone's confident, most of the time, obviously there's exceptions. They'll be into it, or they'll sense the vibe.
yeah, like for me,
So
I've
if, you know,
definitely
if- yeah.
become more confident. And, like,
That's good. I hope everyone becomes more confident.
and I think people do as like I think ultimately people learn the lesson one way or another. And like I guess the lesson that for me drove the confidence up
Yeah.
was that no one gives a fuck. No matter how much we think like, oh, what are they gonna think? How are they gonna feel? How much like no one gives a flying fuck about any of that shit. And if they do,
Yeah.
it's because they're in the same spot that you're in the sense of like caring and
Yeah.
caring about shit that doesn't really matter. Like they're like, because for me, like there are people that I know that I have an influence on their life, whether it's I'm on their mind a lot or if I'm not on their mind at all. Like the influence is still there, and other people have that same influence on me. And I feel like it's very important to like at the end of the day, just to be aware. Like that's all. Like all the lessons.
I would say that's a great
like,
takeaway. Yeah,
like
just be aware.
All of the lessons, and we've said it so many times already. We probably said it numerous times in this episode alone. But like,
Yeah.
you just try and like look at yourself in the spot that you're in. And for me, I try to look at it two very different points of view. One of them is the role that I play, not only for myself, but in the world and in society.
Yeah.
But then I also look at myself as a fucking animal who is on this rock without the roles, without the sense of any roles but in relationships. And then it's like, wow, like, it brings everything in perspective and makes me realize, like, we have all these tools. Our names are tools. The labels are tools. There's an equal balance of good and bad. Like a good, like people are trying to make everything good. But since everyone's focusing on it, everyone feels that things are so bad. Because you cannot bring focus to the good without bringing focus to the bad.
Yeah.
That's why with social media, and like one thing I worry about is like pictures of the self going on that have obviously been taken 1,000 times.
Yeah,
focusing
you always
on
post the best picture.
Like focusing on positive admiration also makes you have attention to the negative shit. So one thing that Gary Vee says a lot, and it kind of makes sense, it's like you can't pay attention or give a fuck about either one. You be grateful for both, and of course you appreciate the love that you're getting, of course.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it wasn't there, you can't give a fuck for the love not being there because it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Like either way, you have to feel the same way, and like not necessarily bringing so much adulation and focus on the love. You look at the hate and it's like, I feel bad for you. You're projecting that.
Yeah.
You're projecting that.
But at least you and me, we're aware of like that the haters or like people who just hate. It's projection.
Yeah, and like,
I just hope everyone just realizes that if someone's hating on you, their life isn't perfect.
And like, cause for me,
they got problems.
Cause for me, like, I'm someone who still projects, but that's something that I've been doing my whole life, and I try to do it in the most positive way for people, and like, I see it because I recognized it in myself so much. That's, I feel like, what we're all doing, that everything is truly a reflection of yourself. Like,
yeah, man, 100%.
And like, that's why, like, say for example, if I notice things that you're doing, I notice things that you're doing because I've seen myself do those similar things, and that's how I'm perceiving what you're doing.
Okay, yeah.
And like, that's what I think we're all doing.
Yeah.
It's like we're all trying to...
We're just trying to figure it out.
Like we said before, it's just figuring it out, and I think that talking about it like this is the most effective way we can kind of get it done. It's just letting go of...
I think it's healthy, too. I think it's healthy to talk about everything.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to get it off your chest.
Yeah.
And to listen, too.
Yeah, because for me, like, there are two parts of the conversation, and I'm trying, like, I feel like this platform is helping me, and it's going to continue to help me get better at both sides of the conversation.
I agree.
'Cause, like,
I can see it. I see myself learning a lot from podcasts, and this is the first one I was on. I had a pretty good experience with it.
Yeah,
I think it's sick.
This was wonderful, and like, I'm so excited to have you back on again whenever the time comes, whether it's in 3 months, 6 months, a year, no matter what time, really. It's always
man, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited to see who listens and what they have to say.
Yeah, because I want to hear people's feedback. I want to hear...
Once it's out, I'm going to post about it.
Yeah,
I want people to listen.
Yeah, I want people to listen and just kind of really, at the end of the day, hear what we have to say and
100%.
gain insight, but also come back to us. Like, Dom and I are always here to, talk at the end of the day, which is important. Like, sometimes we won't be there to talk for endless amount of time.
Yeah, right that second.
But, like, whenever,
I'm always up to give advice,
and
you know.
I'm always down to receive it too. That's the whole thing. Like,
100%.
tell me and tell us this episode specifically, kind of what you feel can be better, what you really liked. Like,
give feedback.
All of it. We need the feedback because like that helps us, and that also helps you. I feel that helps you, the listener, in the sense of you are providing shit that's valuable that can be learned from.
Yeah.
And like, when there's two parts of this, there's really three. There's the listener aspect.
Yeah,
and like,
I'm excited.
It's just a crazy thing.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it feels good. Like, I'm happy that I had you on. I'm happy that we just got to do this. Like, I couldn't even imagine.
I feel like I learned a lot from this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna re-listen to this.
Yeah, I'll send it to you right after. But
Yeah.
so just so you can, like, I've been doing that with pretty much everyone, since it seems like these episodes are like all projected like 2 weeks ahead of time.
Okay.
Just because that's how all the recordings kind of happen.
Yeah, of course.
And like, it's just so crazy because like I couldn't have even imagined this 5 months ago, and like,
It's exciting.
yeah, it's awesome. I'm excited for what's in store. I guess if there's anything you'd like to say to kind of cap it off for everyone to kind of listen, whether it's new people or people that we both know, like what do you got to give to everyone?
I would just say, like, just don't be scared to comment, or don't be scared to reach out. Like, any advice is wanted.
Yeah,
And just, you know, in your own life, take chances. Who cares?
Yeah, like
Just go for it.
Like, exactly. You're the only one living your life.
Look, like you said, I'll support whatever you guys want to do, passion-wise, and Joe would do the same. So.
Yeah, just do what you love, and like, that's what we're here for. We're like, I feel that we are all the same, and like, I do feel that when others are doing the shit they want to do, I feel that. Like, it's, especially when I'm around it and people talk about it. So, like, I'm just excited. Thank you, Dom, again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, we're going to do this again. And folks, thank you for listening, and I'll definitely see you again soon.